Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Felis Mangus, Smith Tools and Purchase, Level Plain Poem, Vitali Z, Colton James, BG, Effie Patriot, Thomas van der Zander, Measured Flat, Chris Wouters, Mia in the Shire, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, The Name's Burley, Jason Hornsby, JMels24, Unamento, Iron26, Endless, Retro Bill, John Kays, Patrick Gunnell's Banter, Hairy Blade, Mobile Mac 777, Rob W, Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Chow Young Cat, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Links to Patreon are below this video. And with that, I will hand across to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show. It's, I don't know, I don't tend to keep track of the days. We homeschool our kids, so it's inconsequential. It doesn't matter what day it is.
Tell me about it. I'm an homeschooling since 94.
Ah, cool.
All my kids are out of the house, productive. They made it out of their dad's homeschooling hell.
I'm sure it wasn't a homeschooling hell.
No. It was at the time.
Why?
For them.
Why?
I don't know, because it wasn't. I mean, I'm exaggerating.
Fair enough.
But if anything, it was odd for me because I was a production manager, studio manager for photo studios in Chicago.
Okay, cool.
Back in the 80s and 90s. So freelance. So totally get where you're at with being an independent contractor and making your income day to day, and depending on, get hired that day or for that week, then you work. And if you don't, you don't.
Indeed.
Anyhow, I was photographer, studio manager, freelance production manager in Chicago from about 88 to 94. And we were about to go on an adventure having children in 94 when my first was born. So wife and I decided that I was the one that wasn't making steady income. She was making the steady income. Pharmacist. She sells drugs. Or a chemist in your world. And so I basically fired myself and became the full-time dad in 1993, 94, when that wasn't so cool. And started on an adventure. I'd always wanted to homeschool the kids. It was never a factor of wanting to, of putting them in schools. Ever. If I'm going to stay home and raise the kids, I might as well educate them too. It would be stupid to sit at home and twiddle my thumbs and take up hobbies while someone else is educating the kids. So anyhow, I did all that back in 94, started in 94 with America Online, and even formed a statewide community of homeschoolers for Indiana, and communicated with email discussion groups. One group Eventually became Yahoo groups before Facebook. So quite an ordeal. So when I was saying that, homeschool hell, I was actually talking about my walk through homeschooling and teaching my kids. I've got 4 of them. The oldest is in her 30s, the youngest is in her early 20s. So it was more my journey than theirs.
The amount of parents that, or moreover grandparents that I would talk to in, you should pop yourself on mute because we're feeding back.
Yeah.
Only when you're not talking, obviously. I'd sit in front of grandparents when I was in the crash groups, and they were a bit younger than they are now. And the grandparents would regale me with stories of how heartbroken they were that they didn't get to see their kids, obviously mothers and fathers of the grandkids that they were taking to this crash, grow up. And, they just grew up so quickly and they didn't get to experience it enough. And if they could go back in time, they'd change it and spend much more time with their kids. Now, homeschooling, I still feel like that. So yesterday I looked at my wife, looked at Eleanor and went, look how much older she looks. She's like, yeah, wow, it's going by so quickly. And even with them here all the time, it still feels too fast, like they're growing up too quickly. And that's with them here. So you can only imagine if you just don't notice them growing up because you follow them off to school and then they come back each day and you've got a load of stuff on your plate to deal with. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And just cherish those moments because I'm looking back and it is. I mean, I spent, when I hear you talking about, going to dance or going to art class and all of that stuff, good grief. And we had a co-op every Friday where we all got together and socialized and had lunch and taught classes. I almost got to teach a cosmology class. That never happened. But I just look back and thousands of hours with my kids in the car, going someplace, doing something, always doing something. And I still think that I didn't spend time with them. You have to make sure you make a lot of memories that are indelible. So travel.
Oh, you must. I'm not listening. Hang on.
Pardon?
Someone joins the hangout. Don't worry. Carry on.
Just do memories that are indelible. And so you can look back, because you're never going to look back at your phone or your pictures and videos and stuff like that. And you just have to rely on your memories. I had one. Your kids are in dance, right?
Well, they do a class that's called Stagecoach, and it teaches them performing arts, music, and dance. So, yes.
Oh, wow. That's actually even better. I like that. Well, here in the States, we got dance classes, dance and cheerleading and gymnastics. And usually those are put together. But all 4 of my kids, I got 3 girls and 1 boy. All 4 of my kids did dance and gymnastics most of their growing up years. I think the top 2 or 3 of the kids went all the way through their high school years doing dance and everything from jazz, and a couple of them tried tap and ballet and stuff like that. And I'll try to do it without cracking. But my most indelible memory of going to all those boring recitals, and you never even get to see the recitals, very much doing costume changes and stuff. But one of my most enduring memories is all four of my kids, and two of them were already out of, I think, well, no, one of them may have been out of dance, or it was her senior, oh, yeah, our oldest daughter, her senior dance recital. She got her other three siblings together, and they did a dance, a special one that they had choreographed, and got me backstage to watch it, and then ended up getting me on the stage to watch them do it. And it was one of those, you know, your little girls growing up uh, kind of dance songs, My Little Girl or something like that. And, you know, you were a little girl, now you're bigger, now you're older, now you're getting married. Holy crap. It just thinking about it. When your kids do that stuff for you, and you're on the stage in front of 500 people, crying your eyes out, that's what makes the homeschooling worth it. Because you'd be damn sure if your kids are going to do stuff like that for you in public school, you know. Now talk, because I got to be done for a second.
No worries. Now, I've got similar experiences without being too much of a baby ball, but going through that particular class, as you reminded me of various different things that are similar. Seeing Clover being Mike Wazowski was just absolutely adorable. You know, that's, as you put it, an indelible memory. There's plenty of others similar for Eleanor, but that was just the most recent one with Clover being a little alien. You know what I mean? Dressed in green with a giant eyeball on her. It was just very funny and sweet. So yeah, those sorts of indelible memories is what you're talking about.
Absolutely. And that only happens when you decide that you're going to become an important part of their life. And that can only happen when you make that the priority rather than making the big bucks and being the famous photographer. In my case, if I'd gone that route, well, we need more money, and heck, we're living in Chicago, so it's expensive, and I've got to know all these famous people and go all these locations. I was gone on location, 1-2 weeks at a time, and taking important pictures. Look back, and if I had done that and not raised my kids and not homeschooled them against all the odds, against all the people, even my own parents who were like, "Are you sure you're doing this right? Are you going to give them a good education?" And I was an unschooler, so we didn't even do curricula or anything like that. I was radical. I was crunchy granola without being a hippie about it. And, we were kind of organic learners, partially because I was lazy and partially because I realized that, you know what, I could sit my kids down in front of National Geographic Channel, such as that was then in the 90s, and they'd still learn more than if they were in school every day. And I knew that because of my experience. I learned everything I learned after school. And once I realized that, then all I had to do is learn how to, is make sure that my kids learned, or I taught them, reading, writing, arithmetic, 3 R's, and to think and to reason and hopefully to love God. So, and that all works in
No more
various
writing.
different. Say what?
No more writing. Just freaking computer.
Oh, yeah, Neil. I tell you what, I was an asshole about that. I made sure that they learned to write. But what's interesting is that all of my See, I've got 3 girls and a boy, and the boy's the second one. So it's girl, boy, girl, girl. The oldest taught herself cursive. The boy did everything late because he didn't want to be his, just following big sister's footsteps and stuff like that. He didn't even start reading well until about age 10. I didn't think he was. And now he's a nurse in an ER hospital and the best guy there. Everybody loves him and stuff like that. Voracious reader. And writes better than doctors do. So all my kids are were pretty much self-taught with writing and with cursive, and very good penmanship. So I made sure they did that. I made sure they learned how to write a check and how to use money and stuff like that. So that is only possible nowadays because a parent decides to do it themselves and not to let the state do it for them. So, yeah, you can't even, I don't know, I can't even imagine. I was telling Nathan, I started in early 90s with our kids. And even then, counseling other parents, trying to convince them that it was okay, they weren't going to ruin their own kids, homeschooling them. Back then, 30 years ago, it was still, I don't know, it was amazing to me how many people were just absolutely dependent upon having someone else think for them and make decisions for them, and they couldn't do it on their own. Just to homeschool, So I'm going to raise my own kids. I think I'm just going to decide to do that. I'll read a few books and just rely on my own understanding about stuff. People couldn't do that back then. You definitely can't do it now.
Right. We do follow a certain, it's not really a curriculum, but we pay for Twinkle, which just gives us all sorts of materials to use to educate them with at various age ranges, obviously appropriate for each of the 2 kids that we've got. And yeah, that's what we use. So we end up printing out a whole bucket load of stuff each day, which is far cheaper now because we bought a new printer with a whole big massive tank of ink that's inside it. So previously we were using like a subscription service printer and it was costing a small fortune to print out all the different Twinkle notes. But now I've got this one with a big tank of ink in it.
We did a lot of that. And I wish I could find, I think it was called Robinson Curriculum. Literally 24 DVD or CD or DVDs back then with everything from the old Bible on it. It was just books, old ancient McGuffey readers and things like that they used to use. And you would literally, if you had to use it all, you would literally have to print out tens of thousands of pages of material. But it was all on DVD or on CD-ROMs. And it was the whole curriculum, grade 1 through 12, just books and things to read. And the only thing you had to supplement with was math. Totally, and I didn't even use it all. But the concept is you just teach your kids to read, you become readers, and you don't even worry about grade level. I took the kids, I was known as the dad that was always at the library with 4 kids. One of them was always in a carrier, in a kid carrier, right? And we just let them go feral in the library. And the only rule is that you could only check out 5 books at the most at a time, because 20 books, is hard to handle and manage. But it can be any book you want. So the kids were allowed, and the parents were just like, well, are they reading at that level? You know, he's checking out a biography or something, or whatever, checking out a book that's not his age level. And I said, what's your age level? If he thinks he can read that book, or if he wants to look at those pictures and just hold the book, if he just, that's part of my curricula, right? So we didn't even do age group stuff much, and that's why our kids have always been, and your kids will always be compared. They're like, oh, they're all very much more articulate. They're more friendly. They're better mannered towards other adults. Always be. They'll say, oh, what grade's your kid in? And if the kid's fun and smart, they'll say, I'm not a grade, I'm an age. I'm not a seventh grader. I'm 10 years old. And there will be no problem in future life with anyone assuming that they're just young, immature brats. Those only go to public school. Thanks for letting me ramble about my homeschooling days.
Yeah, no, not at all. No worries. No, that's exactly the comments we get. They're very well spoken, they're very articulate, they're very easy to interact with, they're sociable, more so than your average kid that we meet who isn't homeschooled that goes to a normal school. Now, the concern from most parents that don't homeschool is, well, are they going to be socially well adjusted? We're like, well, every day they're in a different group with a different set of kids that they have to interact with and learn their names, and we're encouraging them on the spot to say goodbye, thank the teacher, all those sorts of things are done for both kids as it happens, right? If you've got a class full of 30 kids and they're not saying the correct word or using the correct pronunciation, no one's going to check them on that because no teacher's got all day to teach 30 kids how to speak correctly. Whereas you're one kid that's in one class with one teacher, as they leave, you say, well, thank the teacher for your lesson or whatever it is that we're doing that day. So that's like personalised interactions that they get checked on as they're growing up. So yeah, they are extremely well adjusted, both of them.
That's the big fear, right? They won't be socially adjusted. You're gonna make your kids. There's a point where you couldn't tell people you were homeschooling because they would try to talk you out of homeschooling.
What they're actually doing is trying to talk you into doing what they do so that they feel better about what they've done.
There are so many parallels between this evergreen topic of cosmology and the topics of homeschooling versus public schooling, atheism versus Christianity. So many ties that it's you can't help but just make comparisons. I laughed so hard when you asked about how they'll be socialized. What about socialization? And I just laughed so hard. Especially looking back, and especially now when social distancing started in 2019. That was the downfall of everything. I think that was a bit of a turning point for definitely this country and the world. Probably is the 2019-2020. We don't worry about socialization anymore, and ironically, so many kids are being kicked out of schools because of sickness and social distancing and all that stuff that kind of backfired. Now everyone has to kind of stay home and school at home, and having the government try to control attendance while everyone's just stay at home is kind of an interesting little blowback to the whole beer flu thing that had started in 2020.
Oh, there was this one lady, I remember. I think I was doing work for this Jewish guy. And we were in his office. I was collecting money that he owed me. And I don't know how the topic came up, but there was like this big thing. You don't send your kids to school? Oh, you're going to be socially awkward? What are you doing? Bah, bah, bah. People, like 4 people telling me different things. I'm like, whoa. This one lady said to me, she goes, don't listen to them. They'll be fine. I grew up with 2 girls that homeschooled their whole lives and they're fine. I was like, oh, okay. Because if you listen, they'll put a fear in you. I remember her coming nice and calm. Don't listen to them. I grew up with 2 girls who homeschooled their whole lives. They were the best or something like that. So it put me at ease.
If you surround yourself with people who are like that, then life is a pleasure. If you can only surround yourself with people that are the backbiters, the scoffers, and like Nathan was saying, the ones that are actually kind of projecting their pain or their misgivings on you because they want you to verify that their choices weren't the actual bad choices. And they know in their hearts that they are. All you have to do is ask any kid. Well, it started this whole conversation. Nathan was saying the grandparents and that are talking about how they are sad because they missed their whole child's life growing up. They don't even know their own kids. And that starts with the mom who cries as her little kindergartner gets on a freaking yellow bus to go to kindergarten when they should be out playing. Mom should be making them treats in the afternoon and taking naps and playing games and stuff like that. Kid gets on a bus at age 7 or 8 and mom is crying. That's when it starts, and that's when the mom starts to go crazy and not know what to do with her life because her kids are being raised by somebody else. And all they got to do is make the decision. Yep, we're going to stay home. We're going to put our jumpers on and we're going to finger paint. We're going to go play in the mud. And we go from there. And more, thankfully, more and more parents are making that decision.
How are you?
Shalom.
Good morning.
I'm all right. I'm doing too many things at once.
Hello.
So I'm trying to upload a video to my eBay account, and it's freezing as I'm trying to upload this stupid video on these ribbon mics that I've bought. So I bought a whole bunch of ribbon microphones in a job lot, and they're great. I like them. It's my first foray into ribbon microphones, and I need to flog them now that I'm put back maybe 3 months, could be 6 months, could be a year, right in the book. So where I thought I could draw a line under flogging microphones after maybe 3 months, 6 months at the most, if some of them hung around, I'm now getting on to a year into selling microphones, and I'm still having to buy more to sell more to keep the lights on. Frustrating, but by the same token, I do quite enjoy making the videos about them. So I'm sure you guys have seen my little shorts videos that I put out, so I can put them on my eBay ads. That's why the shorts videos exist, in case you hadn't figured that out. They're just the video that goes alongside each of the eBay ads so that you can see how the microphone performs. But I'm a videographer at heart, right? I like making videos. So when it comes to getting a new microphone, or in the case of today, 4 microphones, one of which didn't quite work properly, but there we go. The ones that did, I immediately just plugged them up and started making videos with them. And I like that, talking about a microphone, even if it's a 30-second video about this is a ribbon microphone and this is how it sounds. I like that. I like making videos. So from that point of view, it's good. But it just, there literally aren't enough hours in the day. So right up until the wire, as soon as I pressed the live button, I was still pressing refresh on eBay and going, why isn't it working? So, because once you've done the video work, everything else is tedious and irritating. You're like, all I want it to do is go straight onto the eBay ad and then I can forget about it. But alas, no, it's not playing ball for whatever reason.
Well,
anyway,
things may change where you won't have to flog mics anymore, because certain party had a show yesterday and literally was getting berated in the chat by everybody to give up what's not his. So you never know. There may be a change of heart.
I don't care. I mean, I've already started doing work and paying my wife to transcribe from the videos, the work that's been done to date. So it's already cost me time. It's already costing me money. I'm poorer as a result of the quote-unquote help given to me by What's-His-Name and Quantum Eraser. Their help wasn't help. It was a hindrance, a massive hindrance, and it's cost me money. So I could slit both their throats, to be perfectly frank. Metaphorically speaking, you understand?
Yeah, I do.
So yeah, that's an irritation, another irritation. I was listening to yesterday's Uncut and After show that goes out on the second channel. I should really do a plea to that. So my second channel, like a lot of the flat earth videographers out there, suffers worse than the main channel. So I go to it and we're like, why is there 10 people watching this premiering stream? Put 4 hours of my life into making it, publish them daily. You get 4 to 10 to 12 to 16. You're like, there's nobody watching this. It's not going out to anybody. There's almost 10,000 subscribers on that second channel. But if you are inclined to watch the Uncut and After show and are intrigued with some of the backstage, we'll call them, discussions that we have on Flat Earth Debate, that's to say, once the live show's finished, it's a bit more of a free-for-all. It used to be the case that would be where the ballers came in, because they'd grow a little bit of courage after the live show had finished, whereas now we tend to be chit-chatting about whatever we're chit-chatting about. And yesterday, someone was asking me about the book. Now, it's from, I don't know how many months ago, 2 or 3 months ago, that the show was actually recorded, maybe a bit less than that. But someone's asking me about it, and I'm explaining that I could publish it at any point. In other words, over the course of the last 2 years, there's been a ready-to-publish book at all points. But I've held it back because Adam and QE want to help me make it better. So it's not getting published today because I've got friends that want to make it a better book. And that's what I'm explaining to the audience. And I'm sat there listening to this myself. I'm going, number one, why do I sound so weird? And then right at the end of the show, I'm explaining that I'm on an absolute crap ton of painkillers. Now, I am still on a crap ton of medicine, but by the time you get used to it, you don't slur your words, you don't sound like a drunk or a drug addict once you've got used to the drugs and kept them in your system. I'm still just as poorly, but back then it was fresh and new, and I was, going in and out still am going in and out of the doctors and hospitals. My point is that while I'm explaining that there's a book ready, and at all points during the process, it could have just been published after any of the drafts. Not in a million years did I think I'd be sitting in front of an audience and explaining that 2 of my alleged to be closest friends who had claimed they were helping me would actually withhold the book from me and cost me time and money. But that's the circumstances, so if QE's getting berated for that, so he should. He's got on the phone with me, demanded percentages, demanded money, and demanded basically ownership of what is mine after offering help. Well, no, they're liars, both of them. Shame. You don't expect these things to work out that way, but they do.
Sorry, you're the one getting blamed for that. They would give it back to you. You just did not ask nicely enough.
I didn't ask nicely enough for my own material that I produced. I don't need to ask nicely. It just means I've got to get my wife to transcribe it, and they've cost me money and are costing me time. So if anybody's like, why isn't the book released? Well, blame QE and Adam. Adam is a scumbag and a degenerate liar, because he's told me, as you've seen from the clips that I'm publishing, that he's helping me with my book. There's no uncertain terms about whose book's being produced and who's helping me produce the book. Well, they've turned around and gone, no, we want your book to be our book. And I've said, no. So they say, well, we're keeping it then. What, the Word document? Oh, right. Well, fortunately for me, although I never anticipated it would be the scumbag friends, so-called, that I'd have to protect myself against by recording all of the sessions and publishing them periodically to members. So in case anybody's wondering, why is it that there's an alleged leaked version out there? That's because I periodically published the work process to members. So should anybody use any of that material that was produced under my guidance, they'll be sued for plagiarism. And I've got dates to prove when it's published on my channel with my supervision. So make no mistakes, the material's all mine. Now, do I have a Word document? No. Did I think that I would be betrayed by my so-called friends and they'd blackmail me with my own bleeding book? No, I didn't expect that to be the case, and it has set me back in terms of time. But it doesn't mean I've lost the material. I recorded it all. But like I say, my poor wife, who is also very ill, is having to transcribe it, costing time, costing money. So they're literally costing a poor man, that's me, money. These two scumbags, these degenerates, these thieving bastards. That's what they've done. They've cost me money when they offered help. No, they weren't offering me help. What they wanted was co-authorship of a book they were alleging to help me with, and they've withheld it unless they get their demands. So what I have done, as I've had no choice, is report Adam the thieving bastard to the police for stealing my book and trying to extort from me after the fact. That's what I've had to do. Make no mistake about it, these two men are thieves, and they are trying to extort me. So when they say it's his fault, we'd give it him back if he only gave us what we want. What you want is inconsequential. You offered help. You thieving bastards. I hope you both burn in hell. That's the situation, Neil. My fault? What, me wanting to earn a living by writing a book and being offered help, and the hindrance them delaying things has caused? Yeah, they've cost me a lot of money, and they've caused me ill health. And I hope they both burn in hell for it. My fault.
Yeah, I get
what a
it.
disgrace.
I get it.
How is them withholding my property because they're not getting what they've demanded after their help's been given and offered freely? Now, it's not like I haven't offered to give them credit. I've got that recorded too, where they've said, oh, well, we need crediting. And I've gone, okay. And they've said, what we want is a bit in the book that says, without the help of Adam and QE, this book couldn't have existed. And I've gone, okay, I've agreed. But then once most of the work, 90% of the editing work's done, they've turned around and go, no, we want co-authorship. And QE's telling me how much percentage is going to be taken out of my book. Yeah, that's what you call a thieving bastard. Quantum Eraser, John Stunyer, thieving, scheming, lying bastard. Make no mistake about it. Demanding what percentage he's going to get from the co-authorship. He was never offered and demanded with menaces after the fact, with his swearing and demands of percentages. These men are thieves. There's no other way to describe them. My fault? All right, that's called victim blaming. All right, it's my fault that I didn't talk to you nice enough. Yeah, like I say, metaphorically, I could slit both their throats.
Well, here's the thing. That probably should have been a red flag when they were asking for more credit. But who's thinking that of them too, you know? Who's even thinking that? Nobody.
Thinking what?
That's something like this will go down, because I surely wasn't.
They don't
But that,
expect
if you
your
think
so-called
about it-
friends that are offering help to turn around and say, no, actually, we weren't helping you. We were feathering our own nest. Now, this is the percentage I want. Swear word, swear word, swear word. I'm sure you can imagine the conversation from Quantum Eraser. The thieving bastard liar. I'm sure you can all imagine how that conversation went down. The moment they actually told me what they really wanted, they got their answer. No. Then they said, well, we won't give you back what's yours then until you give us what we want. So that's called extortion, blackmail, theft, scumbags.
So you mean to tell me he got emotional on the phone first? Because the message he sent me was he tried to talk to you, but you got emotional and hung up. When it was him that got emotional?
He started
Oh,
swearing
that's
at me. And
interesting.
he started swearing at me and demanding a percentage and co-authorship. And when I said no, he got very angry. I wrote the fucking book, were his words, so I hung up on him. That's how it actually went down. Now, notice how I can say that without stuttering, because I'm not a lying, thieving, scheming bastard trying to extort from his so-called friend. Yeah, Quantum Eraser demanded a percentage and co-authorship and then started swearing at me. That's what actually happened. And as soon as he did, I ended the conversation. Now they're withholding a Word document from me. This is the actual state of events. Those are the facts in this matter. Does it mean that I don't have a book? No. I've recorded all of the work done in my intellectual workshop, aka this meat room that we are in now, that they worked under my supervision, and every last bit of it was recorded. And at no point did they ever even hint at what they've now demanded whilst withholding my book from me. Now, not the book in its entirety. Like I say, I've made recordings. I'm not that stupid. I just didn't think I'd have to protect myself from Quantum Eraser, the thieving, lying bastard, and his secretary. What's his name? I don't know. He was so utterly unimportant, I've almost forgotten his name already. Go on, Neil. It's the third time you've talked straight through the middle of my rant, but go
I
ahead.
didn't talk, I laughed. So housekeeping?
Yeah, the book is about housekeeping. But meanwhile, what they are doing is disgusting, and I literally hope they both burn in hell for what they're doing. Right? All they're doing is costing a poor man money. And when did they pick to do it? When I was at my sickest and poorest. That's when they chose to do it. When I'm telling them I'm going in and out of hospital on an almost daily basis. That's when they chose to do it. They are the lowest of the low scumbags, picking a man's poorest and most poor health moment to demand what is not rightfully theirs after offering help. At no point did they hint that they wanted this. They just lied, told me about how they were helping me with my book. Quote, your book, Adam Meakin, over and over again. Now, this isn't something new. This is only a couple of months ago. They've changed their mind in the last couple of months. And as a consequence, I am poorer and further behind with the book than I would be had they not have helped. So they've been a massive hindrance.
That's another thing. Maybe I shouldn't even tell you. Yeah, I'm going to tell you anyway. Well, they say the empathy way ain't the way to go. So they think that you're saying these things to gain empathy when you're just talking about a reality that you're going through. You're physically sick, you're emotionally drained, and you're tired. But they think that you're trying to get the material back with some empathy.
Right, they're trying to get the material produced under my supervision over the course of the last 2 years that they offered to help me with. That material, the material they've stolen. I'm trying to use empathy to get my own book back from them. What the fuck are they talking about? These two scumbags who belong in hell for being cheating, lying, bastard scumbags who are trying to extort from me. You think I'm using empathy? No. No, what I've done is moved on. And I'm now literally having to pay my wife because she can't take time out of her day where she'd normally be doing overtime work and incentivized work by her employer. She can't just give that up because it will cost her money. So I'm having to pay her to transcribe it all. Now, what I am finding, just on a lighter note, is why do they think it's theirs? Well, because according to them, I didn't put much effort in while I was recording and supervising the entire process. Well, they're right. That's because Quantum Eraser's words put down on page are boring, dry as a nun's fanny, and will require massive amounts of work to actually make readable. Littered with links when it's a book. So yeah, I was finding it intensely boring while they were helping me with my book that they've stolen, the 5th draft of, setting me back a considerable amount of time, costing me a considerable amount of money. But why wasn't I engaged? Because it was snoozeville boring as all hell. That's why. Well, I can alter that. I can inject the Nathan Oakley magic back into the 6th draft after I retain control of the 5th draft that they're retaining a Word document for. The thieving, scum, lying, degenerate bastards, the pair of them. So no, you haven't got anything of value. You've got a Word document that you offered to help me with and then decided after the fact that your oh-so-wonderful snoozeville, boring, dry as a nun's fanny work was worthy of having your name put on it. No. Meanwhile, should you decide to publish any of it, you'll find yourself in court for plagiarism because I've already published huge chunks of it. Why do you think there's a leaked version out there with your snoozeville words on it, Quantum Eraser? Yeah, that's because I'm not stupid. And I documented every step of the process so that should some scumbag, degenerate, lying, thieving wanker decide to steal my material from me, he won't get away with publishing my 5th draft. It's not a book yet, it's a draft that they've stolen and then decided to extort from me by way of blackmail. That's what they've done. Well, you won't get very far, and you won't be able to publish it either, because I can demonstrably show any court where it is my work. All of it. All 5 current drafts. The 6th draft, when I'm happy with it, not when it's got the boring Snoozeville endless links talking about Mae West. Once that shite has been removed from my book, then it'll be published. But what I was led to believe by these 2 scheming, thieving bastards was they would help make the book more technically superior. That's what they offered. But once they'd done it, they decided it was theirs. Wrong. You've just gone down in history as thieving pariahs. That's all you've achieved, you thieving, degenerate scumbags. I mean, fortunately, my wife's keen. She's got straight on it because I've given her money. That's basically the bottom line. I've gone, here's money. And she's gone, oh, well, I'll crack straight on then. Now, I had actually set a time to start doing it, hoping that with a deadline in my mind, I won't say the particular date, that they would come to their senses and realise that they're going to go down in history as thieving, scheming, lying bastards. Now, when I publish Adam telling me about how my book's going to go and how it will sell more copies if I go out and talk to Simon Dan and all of the rest of the scumbags on the Globe side, that my book, that's, quote, Adam Meakin, your book, will do better for it and sell more copies, benefiting me. That's not him suggesting in any way, shape or form that he's about to thieve it from me, is it? It's him lying to me, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, they're both thieves, they're both liars, they deserve hell.
This is very disappointing.
Yeah,
Very
extremely
disappointing. I'm so sorry to hear this. So sorry. Unbelievable.
This happened weeks ago, frankly, so now I can muster my thoughts, gather them, and spit them at the camera about 2 thieving scumbags in no uncertain terms, having given them plenty of opportunity to right their wrongs without the public finding out. Well, my members found out about a week ago. Now, today, I didn't expect this to be the case. Neil's brought this up, you know. But there's always a silver lining. And that's to say that as my wife's going through it and I'm listening to how dull and boring their work is, admittedly, it would have been spiced up and pepped up with me, but that wasn't ever going to be an opportunity they thought they would afford me. Not without their names on my book they allege to be helping me with, because they're thieves. They weren't helpers, they weren't friends, they were thieves, demanding a percentage. That's what QE did, because he's a thief. Well, thief, you won't be getting away with thieving anything from me, and should you try and publish it after the fact, you'll find out very quickly why there's a leaked version out there. I just never expected it to be you that would thieve it from me and require me having to demonstrate how all the work was done in my space, under my supervision, for my benefit. Thieving bastard.
I have a question, if you may.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ventriloquorum? Ventriloquorum.
Yeah, ventriloquorum. He's the guy who's going to translate one of the versions once it's done.
Right. It's not involved in this part, right?
No, this is just this glorified trumped-up secretary and Quantum Eraser.
Oh, okay. So ventriloquorum is not involved in that.
No. I mean, the book's still going to go ahead. It's just delayed and costing me money. That's it. That's all I've achieved. A delay and costing me money. That's it.
Well, just for a heads up, they're going to turn around and say that they were going to waive any rights to any money. So
they're going to lie even more. No. Let's get that absolutely straight. Quantum Eraser came on the phone and demanded percentages. Lying bastards. Oh, they were going to waive any. So why did Quantum Eraser come on the phone and start demanding percentages then? Lying, thieving bastards. So what is it about lying, thieving bastards? They just lie more when they're caught with their pants down. Yeah, they'll lie now and say, oh, we didn't want any money. Really? Why did QE come along and demand percentages then? Because they didn't want any money? No, you're liars. Make no mistake, they're just going to lie more. In fact, most of what they now say from this point forth will just be lies. More scheming, because that's what liars do when they get caught lying. Lie more. We've seen it from our opponents, and now we're seeing it from our so-called friends. Now, this isn't the first time I've been shagged over by my so-called friends. It's happened repeatedly. That's why I cover my own back and get my ducks in a line when I've got so-called friends offering to help me. That's why I've published various chunks of the recordings to the public so that they can see exactly how the process went down and how there's no misinterpretation available to them in terms of what was on offer. Certainly not any money. That's what QE demanded. Certainly not co-authorship. I agreed to credit them. They just weren't happy with that. They wanted more. And now they're going to lie. Oh, we didn't want any money. Really? Why did QE demand percentages then? Because he didn't want any money? No, because you are lying bastards. And want to make it seem like, oh, we didn't want any money. Well, why weren't you content to just have your names in the book as agreed, which I've also got recorded and have now published? Oh, why? Well, because you wanted more. A percentage, like QE demanded with his swearing. But you didn't want any, lying bastards. Yeah, you did.
Well, they reconsidered when they were thinking about it. This is what I'm told. They reconsidered and they were like, we don't want any money. We just want our name on the cover. So I don't know
see.
what, this is what's being said.
Before I've even finished the sentence, discrediting that garbage that they're putting out, that they didn't want any money. Oh, they changed their mind after they decided to extort from me and demand money from me. Now it's they don't want money after they've lied, extorted and blackmailed me with my own material. Now they don't want money. Yeah, notice how it's already unravelling? Yeah, I call them out for being lying bastards and suddenly they don't want any money. Yeah, that's what liars do. Oh, we didn't really want anything. Well, okay. Why wouldn't you accept what you'd already had agreed to then? No, you're just lying bastards and that's how you'll go down in history. Yeah, this won't be your swan song. Your swan song will be as lying, scheming, degenerate thieves. That's your legacy now. Because that's what you are. Demanding percentages. Oh, we don't want any money. Really? Why was I being sworn out for percentages then? Is that because you don't want any money? No, it's because you're lying thieves. That's why. And now the audience know. En masse. Now, when did this happen? It happened a month ago. I've kept it from the audience for a month. I let the members know a week ago. But now everybody knows this is their legacy. Thieves, scumbags, and blackmailers. That's what they are. We'll give it him back if we only get what we want. Yeah, that's called extortion, isn't it? Yeah, that's why I've reported the trumped-up secretary to the police for theft and extortion, because that's what it is. Doesn't mean I'm not going to put a book out. It does mean it's going to cost me time and money, the very thing they were offering to save me. No, they just hindered me, these so-called friends.
Well, did QE talk about it on Saturday during his treatment or something?
Speak up, Eli. Bloody hellfire.
Never mentioned the word, but there were people in chat. I didn't click on, but I was watching the show and watching the chat just to see what was going on. And there were people ballers and flat earthers saying, give what's not yours back to the man.
Mm-hmm.
We think it is ours. We work so very hard on it. It's ours now.
I saw that too. It was a good show. It like him not mentioning that. I mean, he took times to take jabs at me, and I understand that because I've taken jabs at him. So whatever. But I would have thought that he would have told his audience, what was going on from his perspective or something. The fact that he's not doing that, like, I feel sorry for. I feel bad because
I don't.
when a friend does you wrong, well, everybody doesn't react this way. When a friend does me wrong, it doesn't undo all the love I've put into all my thoughts of them over the years. So it's like, I understand you did me wrong. It's not going to change how I feel in the moment about you, you know? So I did feel really bad watching his stream. But the fact that he didn't even mention it, knowing that his chat was going crazy about it, acting like they weren't going crazy about it, I don't know what you can do to.
There's a reason why.
Be transparent or something, man.
No,
Like, because I don't know what's going on. You won't talk to anybody. You didn't say anything extra to me after I messaged you. So if you want, nobody knows what's going on.
I'm going to tell you.
Other than the fact that you it looks like doesn't you're withholding a book that from your own words doesn't belong to you with arguments that you've already given the community. So come on, bro.
The reason why he's not bringing anything up and why Adam's not talking about it, this is what I've been told, is because Nathan has made it a legal issue and they cannot speak.
Let me get it straight. Brian told me from Adam, quote, as a friend, you should get legal advice. Is this more blame shifting and victim shaming? So Adam told me via Brian, I've got that recorded too. Do you want me to play Brian telling me Adam's words that I should go and get legal advice? Do you want to hear that played? No, it's why bother? It's just constant flipping of the burden and reversing this situation like I'm at blame. No, I'm not. Literally, I've been told by Brian, quote, Adam, go and get legal advice. As a friend, because you've been my friend for so long, I'd advise you go and get legal advice. That's what I was told. And now they're using that against me. Doesn't this sound familiar? Yeah, that's what scumbags do.
Well, in the beginning, he said he didn't want it leaking on his show. There's a reason why he don't want it leaking on his show, because he knows what he's doing. That's the bottom line.
If it was the other way around, do anyone listening, if it was someone that's stolen Huey's book or his website and just like remade it in their own, whatever he would have thought was his, do you think he would have been quiet about it? He thought he was right. I don't. That's just speculation, but I don't believe for a second that he would have been quiet about it. Everyone he's thought has done him wrong intellectually, he's gone after. Why wouldn't he go after somebody if he thinks they stole something from him physically? So this whole, I can't talk because of legal reasons.
Just 1 second. Just 1 second, Eli. Just 1 second. Unfortunately for those two idiots, I've documented the entire process. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. Adam said to me, he said two things. He said, because he said I've been friends with Nathan for so many years, I would like him to actually go and get legal advice.
Like, what was that? I've made it a legal issue. Did you hear me being told explicitly by Brian via Adam's own lips, according to Brian? Unless Brian's a liar, I'm being told go and get legal advice by Adam. What's that? I've made it legal? These people are such degenerate scumbags, aren't they? Wow.
So what it sounds like, I'll try to be as incoherent as possible out my own little hole. What it sounds like is at the time that, I guess Adam thought he was in the right. He tried to go, oh, maybe you should get some legal advice, my friend, to turn around and go, oh, look at that. He's gone and got legal advice. Is that what's happened?
No, maybe I said the wrong word because you got the cops involved. I think something like that. I'll go back and check, but it's something like that where you made it public and you brought the police involved and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it all
Yeah.
stems from
When
legal
someone
advice.
thieves from me, I'm going to report that to the police. When someone tries to extort from me, I'm going to report them to the police. Yes, absolutely, without question. Yeah, if you try and extort from me, I'm going to go to the police and tell them you've stolen from me and you're trying to extort from me. You're saying you won't give me what's mine unless I give you something. That's called extortion. That's what you've been reported to the police for, Adam. Yes, absolutely correct. Why wouldn't I?
Right. But the police are the legal advice in this situation.
Yeah.
No, that's not legal. That's not what he's saying. He's saying go and get a lawyer. That's what he's saying.
Why would you make it a civil issue? It's criminal.
Yeah, they've stolen. And now they're trying to extort from me.
Because they feel that after chapter 4, after chapter 5, you heard it all before, that it's a whole new book that has nothing to do, but the whole new book is about flat earth debate. So I do not get it.
Right. Let me tell you, if I went over to your house and painted your house and I put everything into it and I did a really good job and I told you at the beginning, like, hey, we'll help you paint your house. At what point can I steal your house from you?
No matter what illustration or analogy you make, it's all going to come back to the same thing. They ain't getting it.
Slow. Right.
Well,
But can we still hope for a version of your book to come out?
Other than
Nathan.
he's already told you it's coming out. Stop, because I don't want to get blindsided when I was about to say something for a question that you've answered ad nauseum. Yes, the book's coming out.
Yes, there will be a book coming out. Yes, it's just delayed.
Jesus Christ! Now my whole thing is, for a year, I can't put a time stamp on it, but I can say this. I would say 2 daylight savings ago is when QE's contributions have gone to a minimum to FED. When I say that, I mean QE doesn't frequent the show the way he used to.
Okay.
He doesn't. Does anybody?
Well, before we get into that, just so I can round this out and we can move on with other things, right? So I did this already once. I may as well play it. I played it to members, and by play it, I mean I read out a statement based on what discussions I was having at the time with 10th Man, who was the originator of the idea of writing a book in the first place, for the sole purpose of helping me financially. That's the main reason, because I'm very, very poor. Anyway, that was prepared as a statement. I'm just going to play that out so that the audience can hear it now. So, having edited about 90% of the book, Adam and Quantum Eraser are withholding the Word document, that's the working draft, 5th version, from me. So, having discussed it with 10th Man, what I'm going to do now is just read out what he and I discussed together. So, first I'll read out what was from 10th Man, then I'll read out my response. From 10th Man. My open line, is everything working? Let's just double check that first before I read out for a while. From 10th Man, it's always been your book. I started this whole project for you and your family's well-being, to bring a new source of income to help you get along. So the truth is that. Not anything else being added or excuses or cause. They should have just walked away if it was too hard. They did not do that. Only one thing is certain. They agreed to help you get your book out and then changed their mind. Now it appears they want something else than was originally offered. I'm very saddened by it all. Nathan, stay true to the truth. And this too shall pass. I got your back. It's easy to tell the truth. Cheers, 10th. That's 10th's message to me. Now the reply is pretty lengthy, so strap in. My reply. You are a great man, 10th. Your sage counsel is far superior to that of my former editors. Glad that you told me not to lie in an attempt to regain control of the working draft. You said it would make me as bad as them, and you were right. So, work will continue on a 6th draft. It will add a little time to the process, but that's life. I think I will just come clean and tell the audience that my editing team decided that my book needs to become their book, so I will have to sack them both, as they have attempted to extort me with a Word document. This means they have ended a friendship and now get nothing and lose all connection with me. But better that this happens now rather than later. God has looked out for me, and I feel I'm on a path he has put me on. It's not an easy path, and it's definitely not paved with riches. But it's the path I need to be on, and God has shown me in the past similar circumstances that being honest is the right way to go. I will always be grateful for that guidance from God, and in this instance reinforced by you, meaning 10th Man. I have thanked God just before writing this, because when good people keep me on that narrow path, even when it goes through a shady route with temptation to lie, cheat, like the people, open brackets, John and Adam, who lie and cheat to get one over on me, God has been there the whole time answering my prayers and giving me little gifts. That is reference to the people who actually support me. When I say little gifts, I mean the people who support me financially. Sorry to paraphrase my message already. You are correct in your assessment. They rolled the dice and lost. As my very Christian grandmother used to say, gambling is the work of the devil. She wouldn't allow playing cards like the ones you get in a casino in her house. It always stuck with me. I'll gamble with a calculated risk, but not against other players. QE and Adam have made me a player and didn't tell me. So, now I know I can stand up with my head held high and walk away from the table. None of the chips are real. The money itself isn't real. This hit home when my father passed recently. Guess how much money he took with him? Money is just a means to an end. I'd like to do what God intended, and not what is just easy. So, although hard, I will come clean with those who support me, some being my enemy, referring to ballers who are also supporting me by watching my show, meaning the audience, and just tell them, my editors decided they want to be writers, and tried to use my 5th working draft they were helping me to edit to make a name for themselves as writers, so I had to sack them both, causing a further delay. Not the end of the world, the start of further refinement of my book. If it's not already clear, I want to say a big thank you to you, but also, to other saved souls who have suddenly come out to the forefront as true friends. Obviously you, 10th Man, but Anthony Riley, Paula, Wandek, Flatsy, Brian, John and Neil have all been true friends and shown true grit. Adam and Quantum Eraser revealed themselves as parasites, happy to use their lies and deception and blackmail to extort me to get what they want from me. What they called their, quote, swan song meant that they wanted to walk away from FE but leave their mark on my book as they walked away. I wish them every happiness, and that God is watching over them also. I don't think they are bad men, they just made a bad decision, and it has cost them greatly. And for that, I too am saddened. But I'll get over it quickly. Adam has no spine or honour, and QE always was a foul-mouthed narcissist only out for number 1. So, the book continues, but will be delayed. But will become more refined. Earth is, was, and always will be exactly as God made it, flat. This focus wasn't the case when QE and Adam started helping me edit my book. For that reason, much of what they have done to the book isn't actually in line with this new rhetoric. So, good though it was, better it will be for this happening. It always was going to be the way it went. QE did get that right. God knows what is in store. He knew this was something on my path, and he ushered me along it anyway, meaning God, not QE. Sorry to send such a long reply, but I feel you deserve the fullest explanation of the circumstances and a broad outline of further work that will need to be done. Thank you, and God bless, Nathan. There you go. So that was my statement that I gave to... Originally, it was what I typed out to 10th Man after a back and forth, but after reading it back, I thought, this is a perfect statement I can read out to an audience, and I did a week ago to my members. So another reason might as well use it as a plugging opportunity. So become a member of Nathan Oakley 1980 if you want to be a week ahead of the game in terms of things like people stealing a book from me. You'd have known a week ago if you'd have been my member. So maybe become a member. Anyway. There we go. That's my statement. You've heard it. Members heard it already. Now you've heard it as the public on a live stream. Not the way I wanted it to go. Not the way anybody wanted it to go. That's life. Not the first time I've been screwed over. Probably won't be the last. Each and every time it happens, you arm yourself and prepare yourself for such things happening.
Yeah, we get a better Nathan every time. The shows have been great.
Yes, so I hear. The more pain and misery and suffering and poverty I suffer, the more the shows improve, so I hear.
As you're leaking out of 4 holes in your back, the shows are getting better and better.
You have to be stabbed repeatedly in the back. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, John, go ahead.
I just said that wet fish episode where you're talking about, feeling stupid about, missing it, the measurements. That was a really good one.
The same attitude from Jad Doe is actually in the chat. He sent me a message saying that yesterday's show, which was the road to flat Earth, and talking about something that I actually objected to, so I had to kind of rein people in at various points of yesterday's show, saying, look, this is kind of the antithesis of what I was hoping to achieve here. That is to say, I am dead against the roads we were on to be talking about this subject because they're conspiratorial roads that make us all paintable as idiots when we get to the subject of flat Earth. And there's a good chance when you do start talking about flat Earth, you're so excited about it that you've got nothing to really talk about. You don't know about the subject matter. You just instinctually know Earth's flat because it is. So it seems like the right thing to do to talk about it. But then when you're in front of somebody talking about it and you haven't got a great deal of knowledge on the subject, you end up talking about what you did last. For me, psychopathy and narcissism and subliminal messaging. And for other people, it was aliens and Miru and Planet X and all this other stuff, right? And that's what we were all talking about when we got to flat Earth, because that's what we knew. Because that's what we'd done prior to finding out Earth was flat from Next Man without a high degree of standardization of evidence. Now, 10 years down the line, Earth's measured flat by everybody. What's that? You haven't shown any measurements, Nathan. What about Simon Dan's 1,000 flat Earth elevation angles to the sun? What about Fugly Dave McKeegan's limited capacity measuring the elevation angle to the sun in Antarctica almost for 24 hours? What about Red Rhetoric measuring Earth flat for 2,500 miles so he can apply trig? What about Eratosthenes? What about Al-Biruni? What about all of the globe evidence that you think suggests you're on a sphere that utilises flat planar measurements? Those are the standard now. Because Earth was, is, and always will be measured flat. But it's taken 10 years to get there. And what was the starting point for this section of my life in flat Earth? Well, John, the guy who just spoke a moment ago, it didn't drop the penny, that is, immediately when he said, I'll give you, my globe Earth opponent, every single concession for every point you have for being on a globe. Now, at the time, it's like, what the hell are you doing, you madman? Not at all. He can give every glober every concession to every point they claim they think makes proof for a ball, because they don't. They all start with a flat Earth measurement, and there aren't any exceptions. That's why John, refracted curvature, could turn around and say, I'll give you every concession you want. I'll agree to everything you put to me. And Earth will still be measured flat at the end.
Well, maybe they designed it that way, Nathan. So we know all roads lead to flat Earth, but they wanted all conspiracies to lead to flat Earth, so flat Earth could be a conspiracy as well.
Exactly. Well, that was a beautiful summary, Neil. That was the most profound thing you've ever said on the show.
Excellent.
Yeah. Instead of all roads leading back to a flat Earth, why not have all conspiracy roads lead to flat Earth? Neil, you're a genius. I knew there was a reason.
Yeah,
you were here.
sometimes it happens.
Write that down, Neil.
Write that down, copyright it so
years.
it doesn't get stolen by Quantum Eraser.
Well, he's the one that put 10th on to cell navigation. You know that, right? till now. So, I guess he's the author of everything.
Yes, like a spoilt child. It's mine, it's mine, it's mine. No, it isn't. Get lost, you spoilt little child. Go and play with your bow and arrow.
I got a better idea, Nathan. Just put it in the book. I give you permission. It's only a sentence. Just like all roads lead to flat Earth, they set it up where all conspiracies lead to flat Earth.
Yeah, maybe it will. We will see. There's plenty of anecdotes to go into the book, right? To make it an interesting page turner. And that's really all I want. Like I say, when I've been listening back as my wife's transcribing it, I'm going, my God, this is boring. No wonder I played a ton of Fortnite while they were doing it. It's just dull. Now, don't get me wrong. I can turn around and play Eternal Gratitude for the factual data that they've presented for me to put in my book that they're now withholding. But ultimately, it needs to be turned into a good read, right? Or when it's on the table, if it doesn't engage you in the first sentence, then it won't get read. Now, this is my words. These are my wife's words. They're like, what you need is it to be appealing to somebody who catches a glimpse of it on next man's table and goes, what's that? Picks it up and reads the first page and immediately want to read all of it. Now, she's much more of a book reader than I, and she said, look, if I'm not engaged within the first 2 or 3 sentences, there's a good chance that I won't read that book. And if it's all links to formulas and, reference book material, like they were describing, then that's not a page turner. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm sure that book would have sold to all of the flat earth people that have put their hand up and said they want a copy. But once that book's on someone's table, it needs the neighbour who comes round to borrow the lawnmower to see it on the table and go, what's that? Oh, that's a book about flat earth. All right, can I have a quick read of the first page? Oh, this is really boring. And then they put it back down and walk back out. What you want is, oh, can I borrow this? No, you'll have to buy a copy. I'm only halfway through. That's what you want, right? That's what I want. I want everybody to want to buy a copy. And I want Next Man to be told, this is a really good read. Now, if you tell Next Man that it's a really good read and they borrow the book, read it and go, no, it wasn't. Actually, it was really boring. They're never going to believe you ever again when you tell them what is your recommendation in terms of books. But if they read it and go, wow, this is really exciting. Yes, I really enjoyed reading that book. And what do you know? At the end, I learned that Earth is always measured flat. Then that's the book I want. Now, like I say, it's not that I wouldn't have, and I already agreed to offer gratitude for the people around me who've made this journey possible over the last 10 years of producing materials, probably nearly 11 now. Someone said to me, it's been 10 years for the last 2 years. I'm like, yeah, probably. I'd lose track of the time. But the point is, what I want the book to do is sell. How do you get a book to sell? You make it good. You don't make it snoozeville with a load of links.
It seemed like every time it was getting juicy, they wouldn't want it in. I'll give you, for instance, I like the way you tell the story of Thea, how they say Earth was started. And that was going to hit the cutting shelf. That really annoyed me because I like the way you tell that story. And so will other people. Now, I don't know if it's going to make it, but you recall what I'm talking about, Nathan.
Yeah, you're talking about Thea smashing into Earth at a glancing blow, and how the orbital path of Thea was just missing Earth long enough for Earth to develop a molten iron core of its own, but then eventually Thea smashed into the Earth, depositing its juicy, delicious, golden molten iron core into Earth's, and all of the debris coalescing with gravitational accretion to form the moon in orbit around us. That's why the moon has the same material as Earth. It's true, because we made it up ourselves.
Yeah, and that was going to hit the cutting block.
Like I say,
Just like
dead.
So I'm just saying, it's only like you're saying about the book and being a page turner and a story. I don't know how to put words into this properly at the moment, but like you get a book and like the story it turns totally round. What you thought was going to happen doesn't happen, and there's a big U-turn, and you didn't expect that to happen. That's what's happened here. because, for example, all the Alberuni, Eratosthenes, all them stories that we was like thinking, God, we've got to, this is the proof of a globe, and not realizing what the story really was and the measurements. We now throwing that back in the face of the globers and saying, this was your evidence and you can have it back and we're going to use it against you. And that is a brilliant U-turn.
Yeah, it goes from the fear of the curve calculator through inexperience back 10 years ago. And I can remember to this day Anthony Riley presenting the curve calculator to me, and he gave me a story, an explanation of how his, I'm going to say they're ours, but his globe Earth opponent in that moment explained to him, Anthony Riley, that the way we collectively should argue about whether or not Earth is a ball is by way of, via this curve calculator. This is what we use. This is how we argue this subject, Anthony. So here it is. Here's your calculator. This is how you argue for the ball. And I remember him saying this to me, and I'm like, what the hell's a curve calculator? What are you talking about? And then him showing it me. And then we spent, I don't know, a year, maybe two, debating about the Isle of Man within the confines of the curve calculator. 10 years later, the curve calculator requires Earth be measured flat. All of the measurements that you input into those little boxes are flat Earth measurements. Did we know it 10 years ago? No. So it goes from fear of this subject to a complete appreciation that all of the measurements that are ever going to be appealed to are all flat. Complete 180-degree turnaround.
Fantastic.
I've said it before, it might be the case that if it wasn't for QE and Adam being treacherous, I wouldn't have had the inclination to look over my own material and go, no, this needs sexing up, it's boring. But I had to literally, in the most physical and literal sense, step back from the book. So I've stepped back from this seat. My wife sat here transcribing the videos that I've recorded, and I'm in the other room because I don't want to be tearing her hair out as well as mine in frustration while I'm listening to QE and Adam spend an absolute frigging eternity argue about one bloody word. And my wife's like shaking her head going, really? But that means that I'm literally and physically stepped back from it, overlooking it, going, yeah, there's a reason I'm playing games while they're doing this, because it's boring. I'm not engaged with it. I'm not engaged with them because what they're doing is tedious. Now, a lot of the factual information that I was hoping they would provide the book is tedious. Now, yeah, large chunks of that may make it to the book, but it is still tedious. I've got to figure a way of weaving it into an interesting book. But like I say, these two idiots are so self-aggrandizing. They think that by the time they've offered their factual polishing, that makes it the end of the process and theirs. They're bloody delusional, the pair of them. Also, the slight heartbreaking part of that is that at various different stages, rather than recording the screen with the book up, I was recording me playing Fortnite, so there might actually be chunks that do go missing. And my wife's like, this video's useless. I'm like, what do you mean it's useless? She's like, well, you're playing Fortnite on it. I'm like, oh yeah, I did get Victor Orallo, didn't I? Look. So there will be certain sections that you go, well, why isn't this so polished? Yeah, that's my fault. I was playing Fortnite. I think it was one day yesterday when I pointed that out. It was like, well, those bits weren't deemed to be in there. They just weren't destined to be in there. You're like, yeah, exactly. Man, has the hour gone by already? Sorry, go ahead.
Just saying that's how you've got to look at it, Nathan. You know, this is a sign. It's synchronicity. These things are happening for a reason. Definitely.
Yeah, I said it in the statement. I trust the path I'm on. And that's it. I work very hard. I do what I've got to do to get by. I'm not a rich man. I probably never will be. But I will be exceedingly proud of the book when it comes out. Now, it was being looked over by two intelligent people that know the ins and outs of, I don't know, Einstein's field equations better than I do. So for that reason, I was more than happy to take a step back while they worked on it and yawned and played Fortnite. Now, I didn't think for a second that they'd want to take ownership of my book. They have. They've demanded percentages, and then they've lied and said they don't want any money. They've told me to go and get legal advice, and then said, oh, I've made it all legal. Just projection, victim blaming, scumbaggery, thieves. That's what they are. So, like I say, you don't expect this to be the broadcast you make on a Wednesday afternoon. I'd have preferred it was on a Friday. Bad news was always better delivered on a Friday. Just ask the Labour Party. Anyway, we're almost up on the full hour. Was anybody? This is going to be the last sort of over me yelling down the barrel of the camera about how scummy they are. Like I say, I have actually, in strictest terms, moved on from this and moved on from it quickly. Yeah? It's not the first time I've been betrayed. It won't be the last. But it's not happened today, right? This happened a month ago. And my members were made aware of it a week ago, 3 weeks after it had happened. My friends were made aware of it 2 weeks ago, and so on and so forth. The broadening of the people that has found out has got more and more wide as time has progressed. And that was at 10th Man's suggestion. It's like, no, don't just go public immediately. Take stock of your situation. Appeal to your close-knit friends. Well, firstly, appeal to them. Might as well get that on this recording as well. The first thing I did is approach both of them, and do you know what they both did? Ignored dozens and dozens of phone calls, texts, and messages. They ignored them all. The complete cowards, the pair of them. They did not want to communicate with me. Why do you think I've got to play a recording of Brian telling me that Adam says I should go and get legal advice? Because they wouldn't even talk to me, the pair of cowards. Yeah, that's the real situation. At 10th Man's advice, approach them first. Deal with them first. Then go to your friend network. Then go to your member network. Now go to the public. That's what's happened. So it's not a quick, I need to expose them. No, it hasn't been like that. Yeah. Hence, I've got pre-recorded disclaimers and whatever you would call what I just played, my message to 10th Man. I've got it all lined up. As Brian said, you need to get your ducks in a line, says Adam. That's what I'm being told. No, I had my ducks well and truly in a line before these two thieving bastards turned up and offered help. Anyway.
Yeah, but Nathan, you didn't listen. This is going on. I remember Brian saying he's trying to negotiate something. You didn't say anything to anybody at the time. And I messaged you. I said, please don't tell me that they're trying to get co-authorship. So people were putting two and two together. So
yeah, but I didn't tell you because I was trying to communicate with them. And by that point, I'd sent them a dozen messages each that they'd both ignored. So yeah, I wasn't just going to immediately blurt it out to you. I need to do a couple of shout-outs for Super Chats because there has been people giving me Super Chats while this has been going on. But is there anything else anyone wants to add? Because like I say, this is probably... It may or may not be the last time it ends up coming up on a live show, but this is pretty much, thanks to Neil, been the dedication of this particular live show, right? Maybe come up with a title. But shout out.
Because I brought up QE having a show yesterday. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you specifically said there was people berating them in the chat. And again, you feel more empowered when you know that there's people on your side to the point where they'll proactively go after the thief and say, thief, give back what's not yours. So when these scumbags come out and say, oh no, we didn't want any money, we didn't really. QE, you're a liar. You demanded a percentage, you lying, thieving bastard. Now you're saying you didn't want any money? Yeah, that's just going to be another expose of the thieving scumbag you are, that you're now lying about what you demanded by swearing at me. And then ignoring me entirely for dozens and dozens of messages, and then sticking your head in the sand and not mentioning it on your show that you had yesterday. Now, I've unsubscribed from Quantum Erase. I'll put out a little short showing me unsubscribing so people can see what I'm doing. But I'm not going to stick my head in the sand. I will hold my head up high, and I will call it as what it is. Blackmail, extortion, thievery. Scumbags lying to me, telling me and my audience, I've got the recordings, that they're helping me. And when they get caught with their pants down trying to extort from me, they say, we didn't want any money. Yeah, you did, you lying bastards. Yeah? Now, blaming me and making me the victim, the guilty party won't work either. No one's going to buy your lies. Let's get that explicitly clear on this recording too. Right, anything else? Because I do want to shout out these super chats, or I'll shout them out and think if you've got anything you want to strap onto the end of this show. I feel for you, Nathan, says Godzilla37. No one likes their work stolen. Talk to Turret. He looks like he could help. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. I will. I'll see if I can drop him a line. Shout out to you. Thank you for the super chat, Godzilla. He sent $6.99 Canadian. Shout out to Unitox Femu, who sends $2. He says, I remember one guy speaking about morality. I wonder who that was. Another shout out to Unitox Femu, who's gifted a membership. Thank you very much indeed for both of those super chats / membership gifting, Unitox Femu. Then shout out to Tom, who's been a member for 31 months. And he says, this only makes me more excited to read your work, says Tom. Oh, thank you very much, Tom. Really appreciate the support. And then Tim, a different super chatter. That was Tom. This is Tim. Tim Holder, who says, good luck, Nathan. You've come a long way. You deserve respect for your journey. Well, thank you very much, Tom. I really appreciate all of these super chats and support. It really does warm my heart. Thank you all very, very much.
We just need Jim to complete the set.
We need Tom, Jim, Tim, Gord, and Uni. Any more for any more? If not, I'm going to round out this live stream. It's been emotional.
Well, I got one more thing. The book was always, Flat Earth Debate was a great show. It still is a great show. And it was a show that provided citation for everything that was discussed. Any proof, we have citation. So I'm glad that the book is going back to what the show really is.
Any more for any more? Thanks, Neil. Anything anyone wants to add from Discord? If it's a question, you're more than happy to ask. Just ask. If there are any questions, feel free. Unlike the scumbag thieves, I don't have anything to hide. No? Any questions? No? Really not. With that, I'll say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering Streams, that's to say you're a member, maybe subscribe to my second channel if you want to see those uncut and after shows for free. But be sure to stay tuned because there will be an after show to follow. But if you are watching live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you who liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, hit me up on PayPal, smash the super chat, all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley. Another massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. And I'll see you all in the next video.
Because there are my own reasons for why. It's not that he's not memorable. There are reasons that I feel not as close. You know. So what the hell was I saying? Jesus Christ.
You're the best.
It might be quite a short after show. I've got a ton of stuff to do. Unfortunately, I've got microphones to sell to keep the lights on.
Understandable.
Just while Eli's trying to remember that. Nathan might back me up here because I noticed last night when I was listening to that QE and him just going over wherever it was in politics and just slagging everyone off and jumping on them immediately. And then throwing snide digs in about Eli. And I thought to myself, this is just crap. It's horrible. Now, just to go back a bit, and Nathan can back me up because I did message him a while ago. Them sort of videos now, and I think we've not done them for a while. I did suggest to Nathan that we start doing maybe other videos, like, you know, professionals talking about surveying or navigation or aeroplane straight and level flight, which we've done. And I think they're much more enjoyable videos, and we can go over and critique them nicely in a calmed manner. And because I've seen Nathan and heard Nathan get so wound up when we're doing that with Simon Dan and whatever he's called, triangles, it winds Nathan up. It probably winds us all up. And all we're doing is shouting and slagging off and getting angry. And there's no need for that, really. Because you can pull apart anything, can't you, given a chance? You can critique anything and give it a good or bad vibe. And I noticed that. And I think it's time to move on from that type of video.
I think it's an excellent idea. Rather than dealing with triangles lying about what NTSB say from the filing cabinets of the NTSB, why don't we just cover a video that NTSB have produced where they talk about what they do and what black box data records? Then we can just cover straight from the horse's mouth rather than from the lying scumbags that oppose us in this little pond and their mouths that just get irritating because they're liars.
I mean, there still could. I agree with you, one day, but also, imagine that there was a day, specifically for, slagging people off. Like, I think people would appreciate it more than it being inevitability of every show. It's like, oh, today's the day that, they've carefully picked out this person or this video for this reason, and we're going to get into it like the good old days. Just not all the time.
Yeah, but hold on. When you're talking about, I hear everybody what they're saying. Let's just bring up Indio, for instance. He's a good guy, right? So why do we got to slag him off so to the point where it's so humiliating instead of grabbing him to the side or just as we go through the video, just correct him and maybe give advice during the video on where he should have went with this instead of calling him a numpty dipshit, right?
Yeah, he could have went that way. Yep.
So, but if you make everybody out to be a numpty dipshit, then you're the king and you are infallible. So there's a reason for everything.
Like I said, you get sick of hearing it. It becomes tedious because just you don't let the triangles or Indio speak for 2 seconds, and it's like you numpty dipshit, and you should. Why is he saying that? This is it's just like, come on, let's go through it a bit more professionally. And like that's the point I was making, and Nathan's reiterated what I meant, and I think that's the way forward, really.
Well, you never agreed with it anyway, One Deck, right? You were kind of on the outside because I never seen you in QE show.
No, I'm similar to, like Eli was on about flats. Yeah, I never really, to tell you the truth, not that I've ever had any qualms with QE, but I've never met him, but I pick up sort of vibes. I'm pretty empathic, so I never really liked the character. Just for them reasons, he was shouting people down all the time. Even if I would have stepped in and said something, he'd be on my case about something. And I don't like that way of dealing with things. I don't like that type of person. So I tended to, when he was in FED, I'd back off a little bit. I wouldn't get involved just because I didn't really like his character. And I never went in Ball Busters because of that.
Well, I would say that shows maturity on your end, because not that you're admitting that you have, some personal issue with QE. It's just that it wasn't your cup of tea, and you didn't let that be known in all this time. Like, so kudos to you. On the flip side, yeah, I don't see why QE has to make. See, what I'm trying to say is he'd call you a pussy. He would. He would call you a pussy for that. And I just don't think we should be as the tough guys, beating on the not forward facing tough guys or the people who just don't, like, oh, you're soft, okay, your feelings or whatever. Yeah, there are people that have feelings.
Oh, well, he's got feelings now, doesn't he? So he cried about feelings, but meanwhile they feel like it's their book. So is that not a contradiction there? Hello?
It just makes them liars. If they feel like it's theirs, then why are they telling me that they're helping me? Because they're liars. That's why. Like, I'm not telepathic, am I?
Well, Nathan, we started helping you, but we put so much work in that it's only right that you make us co-authors, because after chapter 4, this is now a whole new book, Nathan Oakley. Why are you not getting this?
It's not a book. It's a fifth draft of what will become my book when I say it's my book. When I give it the underlying approval that it requires. In the same way, their permission that they asked for from me. It wouldn't be necessary if it was theirs, would it, Neil? Why would you be asking me for permission for something that's yours? Do I ever ask you for permission to use my light bulbs? No, I don't need to. They're mine. But they're asking me for permission for co-authorship. Why would they do that if they thought it was theirs? No, they're just liars. You don't ask for permission if you think something's yours, do you?
No, it's yours, so why would you have to ask?
You wouldn't need to ask if it wasn't the case that it was mine. They knew that.
They believe the book is theirs. Nathan knows for sure, 100%, that the book is his.
I love it. Nice one.
Yeah, the moment
That
they
even beats
asked,
mine.
the moment they asked for what they actually wanted, the answer was no. Then they started to blackmail me because they didn't get what they wanted. They hadn't asked for it up until that point, and the moment they did, the answer was emphatically no.
Not only didn't they ask for it, but they made it clear that it was your book on all the videos that were made when this subject was brought up, especially when Ranty came out with his ghostwriters. He was the one that said, no, Nathan just has great friends, and Ranty's jealous that he has no friends. But they made it clear that it was your book.
Yes, Neil. Sorry, I was just filling the coffee machine up. Yeah, fortunately, the situation is not ambiguous, is it? From the point of view of the audience,
Fortunately, you also. Oh, sorry.
No, you go.
Fortunately, you also protected yourself. I'm glad for that.
Yeah, just like I say, it just doesn't make any sense in my head that it's protection that I'd need from a jumped-up secretary and quantum eraser. I didn't think that would be the case. But there we go. I mean, that's how it works out. You protect yourself because you don't know who's going to shag you over, do you? Now, as it turns out, it's Quantum Eraser and Adam Meakin. Well, I didn't anticipate it being that case, but, nevertheless, still plenty of published material as we worked through the book in my conceptual space under my supervision. That's all been published with dates on it to show what's mine is mine, as they offered their help. Well, now, as it stands, could you call any of what they did help? Absolutely not. They just lied. Why? To feather their own nests so they could have a, quote, swan song. What do they mean by swan song? It means they wanted to desert all of you. They wanted to walk away and leave their mark on my book as they did so. They made that explicitly clear. They want to walk away. They're bored. Well, the only thing I'm bored with is their writing that will have to have a lot of work done to it after I get it back in my control. That's after transcription. But they are bored of all of you and want to leave you all in the dirt. That's why they don't care about how this makes them look. Because they're going to walk away anyway. So who cares, right? They've got no loyalty to any of you. Just in case you were wondering if they cared about you. No, they didn't give the tiniest of shits. That's why they did this. Because they don't care. They're walking away. Now, they thought they'll get what they want anyway because they control a Word document. Wrong. They gambled badly. They thought they had a better hand than they actually do. So they won't get what they want. They thought they'd still get their mark regardless of everybody turning on them because they won't be able to publish it unless they get the Word document back. Yeah, we will. We being me and everybody else around me that wants to support me and actually help me, as opposed to lie, cheat, deceive, steal, coerce, bribe, blackmail, and extort, which is what QE is actually doing. And Adam.
Well, that's what bothers me when people are saying that it happened organically. There's no way in hell that 2 weeks ago, or however long this happened, that they both came to the decision that, you know what, this is our book. No way I'm going to believe that in a million years. This was not organic. At some point, they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, well, like I say, 3 weeks ago, I'd be a lot more angry. Hence, it's taken a month for me to actually come out to the public and tell them. As the net has widened, or whatever you want to call it, the amount of people knowing about this has broadened and broadened and broadened. It's a sad state of affairs. I think you'll all agree. Nobody wanted this.
Yeah, I think even Rufy said something.
even Rufy's blushing.
Yeah, he said, he goes, this is great for us, but man, I feel bad for Nathan.
Yeah, like any good scumbaggery, you do it when the person's at their weakest. They picked the moment I was at my poorest and in the worst health. That's when they chose to do it. What does that say about them? And then they ignored me appealing to them personally. Just ignored me. What does that say about them?
I was calling the pair of them Adam and Q-Eve, like Adam and Eve. Adam and Q-Eve getting seduced by evil in the Garden of Eden. So I've given them a name, Adam and Q-Eve.
Yeah, as I started sharing the clips where they're telling me how grateful I should be for their help with my book, I put in one of the comments, they've stolen it, the devil made them do it.
I am shaking my head in disgust right now.
We all want.
Yeah, we all.
It's devastating for us on Flat Earth Debate and all people listening because this is treachery in the highest order. These are like the two generals, you know. They make no bones about it. They offer a lot to the show. We're talking about Huey and Adam. No matter how we feel about them now, I mean, it's Huey and Adam. So it's all the more shocking. I still can't wrap my head around it. I can't.
Are you saying that this was a coup?
Yes, it was a coup. It was not organic
I just
either.
came in. What am I missing? I just came in. What am I missing?
Who's this?
Elbow.
Well, what don't you know?
Just heard keep getting at him. Something.
You don't know that they're treacherous, treasonous, traitors, backstabbing bastards.
No. Just used to me.
Why don't we let Nathan explain it?
I was going to have to listen back to the show again.
Or you can listen back to the show. But to lump it all up in quickly, the book that Nathan was writing, that he was getting help from his friends, the Adam Meakin and Quantum Eraser, have now possession of it and refuse to give it back to Nathan unless they're put down as co-authors. And that's where we stand.
Wow. I thought last 2 weeks ago they said that their laptop was stolen or something like that. That's where I thought it was.
Without any extra input. Without any extra input. Because this is interesting. Because he's been totally, as far as he's acting like, insulated from all of this information. So what do you think about that statement there? A book has been written, and until Nathan gives them co-authorship, they're going to hold on to the drafts because they feel like it's in part their book. What do you think about that, based on everything that you do know, if you've been following?
That's I don't want to cuss. That's horse, the other word.
Why?
I mean, who wrote it?
People go to hell for that. They're going to go to hell.
No, don't muddy the. We have somebody who's totally been insulated from our thoughts. Just based on what he knows and what he's heard out of everyone's mouths, I want to understand why he would come to his own conclusion. Right.
Nathan was the one that wrote it.
Come to the same conclusion, so people know that we're not tripping.
Yeah, but before you do that, Eli, you got to let him know that they did come to Nathan and say to him that this is an awful lot of work. We need to be credited somewhere in the book. And Nathan agreed to give them credit, but they never asked for co-authorship until the book was 95% complete. And Nathan was trying to get it back to do work on it because nothing was done for 6 weeks.
Well, when you explain that,
giving credit is where credit is due. It's not bad, but saying that they're co-authors, that's just a little extra. I mean, have they wrote anything in that book?
Say again.
Have they written anything in that book?
Yeah, they've written plenty. I mean, there isn't a book yet. People keep calling it a book. You mean the 5th draft? Have they written anything in the 5th draft? Yes.
Their own words or words? They're just yours.
But I don't really understand what difference it makes. It's done in my conceptual space, under my supervision, after they've offered help polishing up my book and making it better. So what difference does it make? It wouldn't matter if they wrote the entire thing. Do you understand that? I just want to get that clear.
They are refusing to return the document to Nathan unless he
Mickey, can you hear me?
agrees to something that he didn't agree to. Yes?
Hold on, Mickey. I just want to clear that up with Albariqua. It wouldn't matter if I didn't write a single word. Yeah?
No, I understand that.
Right. Just because that's what they're alleging. Oh, well, we did so much work, we feel it's ours. No, it doesn't work like that. Yeah, they're working in my company, under my supervision, for my benefit. Essentially, like an employee. Yeah. It's a bit like if you were working for Jaguar as a designer, and you design the new Jag, and you spend 12 years of your hard life slogging your guts out to design it. And then you get sacked. So you take the plans with you. Well, you know what's going to happen? A policeman's going to turn up on your door for theft. Doesn't matter. 100%. Yeah, exactly. So it wouldn't matter if they wrote every single word. They didn't.
Yeah, but the book was about flat earth debate. It was about you. There's nothing original in there. We're talking about freaking gas pressure without containment and breaking it down. That's a known thing. Everybody knows that. There's nothing original in there is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, no. It's this. Nathan definitely has the. I mean, yeah, this is definitely theft. I mean, they could get credit for being part of it, but it's not something that they need to. I mean, that's just theft, 100% theft.
They mentioned on separate occasions that they were doing this for Nathan, that it's Nathan's book. Nathan has mentioned on multiple occasions that they specifically will get credited in the book for their contributions. Not only that, but Nathan is also paying the affiliate program that Nathan is set up with the book will allow for any of us to actually, make money selling the book. So,
I mean, and as far as I knew, I heard them speaking about your book, not their book.
exactly, that's what I was trying to get. That's where I was trying to go. Yeah, they're trying to steal FED's book, which is the intellectual property of Nathan.
But Nathan's right. They want to get out. I think one guy wants to be an official, some sort of freaking running for something in office in England. Wouldn't that be? What do you do when you smear somebody's campaign? Oh, you're going to vote for this guy? He's a liar and a thief.
Hey Nathan, this is Zoso from YouTube. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry to hear about all this. It's crazy, man.
That Zozo.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for all your comments. I really appreciate them all. I'm sure you see all my little hearts I put next to him. Thank you so much. You're very supportive. I do appreciate it.
After hearing about all this and then thinking back to the story Adam was telling about how his shed got broken into, and he knows that you're in a bad position and you're constantly asking for support, but he then goes on to say how he lost $20,000 worth of toys during that. That really pissed me off.
I'd never thought about it like that. That's a good point. Oh yeah, so he's got enough money to piss 20 grand away on Warhammer figures. Yeah, good point.
No, but you're missing it. When he came out and he realized his shed was robbed, the first thing he thought was, oh my God, my book was stolen. No.
You see, yeah, that's while he's saying that to you, Neil, this is what he's saying to me. Yeah?
We're more ghost fillers. You wrote it, we filled it. You know what I mean?
Sorry, Adam.
And that's right. So what's the skeleton we've wrote this on? It's wrote on Nathan's life. Nathan's decision to dedicate his life to flat earth debate. Without that, there wouldn't be the housekeeping questions. There wouldn't be
Brian.
Meeting.
Pretty clear. They're not saying we want co-authorship, are they? They're just lying to me.
Yeah, that recording is pretty damning, isn't it?
Got a ton of them. Where over and over again, they're telling me we're helping you with your book. You need to be more grateful. We're giving up time for you. No, you're not, you lying, deceitful pair of cunts. You're fixing to thieve from me and telling me about how it's my book and how I'll be going out and promoting it and your book will sell more if you do this. When they say your book, they mean my book, not our book. They've never, ever implied that. Anyway.
If it got to be overwhelming for them, they could have easily just walked away. So their intention from the beginning or late in the stages of the development of the book, they couldn't do that if they were going to do what they're doing now to you.
Yeah, and then they didn't ask beforehand to start with, like, you know, if I'm gonna help you do this, you know, I'm want to be co-author. Now, if that was the case, then that would be a different story. But
Correct.
they knew that it was his book, and they were just being a part of it.
Yeah, exactly. So rather than be honest, they deceived me so they could continue to quote unquote help me because they were fixing to rob from me. So that's what a confidence trickster does, otherwise known as a con man. They tell you they're helping you, they're not, they're fixing to rob from you. They're con men. Adam and QE are con men. That's what they did. They conned me. Built up my trust and confidence in them because they were helping me write my book and telling me how much money I'd make from my book. Then they robbed it.
And the way to get everybody's support is, they tried it with me. I'm sure they tried it with Brian and everybody else, was to make it look like it was an organic thing. Like, I realized when I came out and it was a robbery and my computer was gone, and I said, my book, not Nathan's book. That's when it hit me that what I was doing is a legacy that I'm leaving behind. And I can't just give that up.
So making every word he'd told me up until that point a complete lie then.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he lied through his back teeth for me. He had
say,
different intentions. He realised those intentions when he got robbed and lost all his Warhammer toys.
Well, not only did he get robbed, he got robbed by very thoughtful thieves that gently took out a window, laid it on the side, and, so the guy wouldn't have to pay for a broken window. Because that's what usually people do when they rob.
I tend to find that most burglaries start with the burglar being a former glazer, knowing how to remove a pane of glass perfectly and leave it on the side so it can be reinstalled after the fact. I mean, that's normal for burglaries, isn't it? I mean, normal burglars don't normally go after the shed. They go after the house.
Yeah, and that's where they get the terminology, throwing a brick. He threw a brick. He didn't get he wasn't a glazier and professionally took the pane and glass out and laid it gently against the shed. Very weird.
Or just complete bullshit. Like, what? Is it shocking that they're lying? No, not really. That's all they've done. So what's another lie about being robbed? Maybe he was robbed. Maybe he wasn't. Who cares?
Should have asked for the crime number. And,
one deck first, I had.
Chase the crime number. You should have got the crime number and see how well, he's obviously reported his property's been stolen and his computer's gone missing. What's the crime number?
Yeah, my property's on that computer.
See, and my thought was this, like I said, well, you should have been thinking was, holy shoot, the book that I'm responsible, that I'm writing for Nathan Oakley, helping write, edit, was in my possession, and I allowed it to get stolen. There's a stinking way of thinking going on. That's the way you were supposed to think.
Well, there we go. Their legacy is what it is now. Sorry, go ahead. Zozo, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I'll just finish up to say that I will promote your book however I can, and I don't expect a thing from it. And I'll try to do more to help support you through super chats and PayPal, that kind of stuff.
You're like everyone around me. You're all fantastic. This is what it's taught me more over than anything, right? You quickly find out who your real friends are. You think the people closest to you are your friends, but it's the people who come out of the woodwork in light of things like this occurring. Now, I mentioned Anthony Riley, and maybe people will get pissed off because it's like, well, he's not even around. It's like, yeah, but it takes people who you slowly drift out of touch with, and then the second something like this happens, they're like there in a heartbeat for you, helping, and saying, yeah, I can help you out, no worries. Yeah, this is my opinion on the matter. Of course I don't mind giving you my opinion. You know, those sorts of people are the people who've come out of the woodwork in light of this. It's never the people you expect, and it's just heartwarming. And again, there was various different points that I thought, if I just do this lie, I can regain control of that Word document. And 10th Man was like, don't. You'll just be as bad as them. It never works out well. Don't do it. And I'm like, ugh, but it would be so much easier. And he's like, no, don't lie. Mean what you say what you're going to do, and do what you've said. That's it. Don't lie. I'm like, fine. I won't. Well, I'm glad he said that to me, because now I can hold my head up high. I don't have to stick my head in the show sand, metaphorically speaking, and ignore the chat while they're all saying, no. I mean, how many people are in my chat going, Quantum Eraser and Adam worked really hard? Nobody.
See, I gave angry advice. I said, you know what, Nathan, just agree with them. Tell them you'll give them anything they want. I just need it back. You're a good actor, Nathan. You could pull this off in a second. And then just say, screw you. So.
You weren't the only person who said that. Several people said that.
I was real angry.
Loads of people said it. Just agree, tell them that you'll give them whatever they want, and then just double cross them. I'm like, no, don't want to be as bad as them.
It was that then they will have you as a verbally, or if it was written that you were going to do that or whatever, so that would kind of set you off in the wrong place as well.
Yeah,
no, I don't think so. It just makes Nathan look better. That's all.
Not even bad. I'm not saying not even as bad as them, but you will be practically binded, because now legally they have your word saying that you were going to do this and that.
Oh, you're saying they would have recorded it. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Doesn't that beg the question, why would they need that? Surely they thought it was theirs. They had a feeling it belonged to them. Why in unholy fuck would they need my permission? Why would they need to be recording me granting it? If they had a feeling that it was theirs, yeah, this doesn't add up, because it's bollocks, isn't it?
True. That will be definitely something that the lawyers would have to take care of.
That's what I said.
In that standpoint. Yeah. I wonder why wouldn't they approach you in another way? Like, they say they wanted to be part of it and be like, hey, I mean, because you're an honest guy. Be like, hey, why don't we just can I get a percentage of the book, yada yada yada, because we helped you so much. And I'm pretty sure you would have been like, yeah, sure, you have helped a lot, da 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 da. But when they come with like, I'm gonna hold this hostage until you make us co-authors, then that's just stuff.
That's scummy.
Sound like Brian now.
Well, no, I can appreciate what you're saying, but what you don't appreciate is I've already agreed terms with them. They said we want acknowledgement in the book, so as we're writing it, it's the case that nobody gets a mention. We get too caught up in characters and name dropping and all that sort of stuff. That was the underlying agreement and understanding. Nobody will get a mention in that's Nathan Oakley's book. Nobody will be named. And then after a time, when they'd put a lot of work in, they were like, actually, it would be nice if we did get named. I'm like, fair enough. They asked for, specifically, an acknowledgement in the book that said, but for the help of Adam and QE, I couldn't have made the book. Now, at the time, I thought, presumptuous bastards, but they have worked very hard. Yeah, fine, I'll acknowledge you in the book. I agreed. In other words, they asked, like you're suggesting, and I agreed. But it wasn't enough. QE had to come along and demand co-authorship and percentages, and demand that he would be negotiating with my publicist. Fuck off! You're not going to get to negotiate with my fucking publicist. You can suck on my balls.
He thought he was going to negotiate with Chuck? Wow.
Yeah, he demanded that he would be negotiating his percentage. What's that? He's telling the audience they didn't want any fucking money? Lying cunt. He should burn in hell for his lies. No, he was on the phone demanding that he would be demanding his X percentage from Chuck while he negotiated as the co-author. Yes, so now they didn't want any lying fuckers, aren't they?
That's crazy.
Yeah, it just keeps coming back to it. It's just circular reasoning. It's lying. It comes back to the same thing. They were lying.
Not gonna lie, now I want to read the book. So it must, you must have done a really good job.
Yeah, it's got a sexier ending, eh? Now, what has changed fundamentally is that there will be characters and name drops. Now, that's not to say that any of you lot, because you're all, potentially going to be name dropped, will be in there, because all of the names will be subtly changed. It'll be Norman Dubé, or whatever. You know what I mean? It'll be subtly changed so that anybody who's in the know will know who I'm talking about. But, you know, quantum entanglement, when he gets referenced, will be talked about in the vein of what he's done. Because it's juicy. It sexed the book right up. Now, obviously, as I'm going through the various different characters, and I've done this already, because it's easy, surprisingly easy. When my wife was transcribing it, she's like, as she's going through the first couple of chapters, she's explaining, why don't you talk about you and Martin Liedtke and Robin Poe and Math Powerland? I'm like, oh yeah, Math Powerland. The amount of times I've told the story of waking up my wife in the middle of the night because I've been watching a Thomas Sheridan video, and then on autoplay, Math Powerland starts playing and talking about flat Earth without ridiculing it. And I go, bloody hell, Earth's flat! And then go and wake my wife up. She's like, you need to put those sorts of stories in there. Now, peppering those stories while I'm talking about, for example, Robin Poe, I'm talking about how she is trying to get a link up between two different relays, and they're supposed to be, I don't know, 20 miles apart. That's what the Army Handbook says they should be. And when she can't get one to work because there's a freaking mountain in the way, she turns the transceiver back to the original source over 100 miles away, and it connects in an instant. Now, that was what flashed before her eyes when she came across the subject of flat Earth. But as I'm writing it, I'm writing about now we appreciate that just the distance named, the 100 plus miles, is a horizontal linear distance measurement that requires Earth to be flat. Any mile measurement that she's going to name, ever, will require a flat Earth to name it. Now, back then, 10 years ago, it seems like a revelation when you say, ignoring the flat Earth prerequisite, over 100 miles, there was no Earth curve blocking my view to the original source of the signal. Now we say, you measured 100 miles, then you've measured a flat Earth. You don't need to point out that there's no Earth curve obstruction. The measurement itself proves Earth's flat. It's the first thing you did, name a measurement for the distance between you and the transceiver or transmitter. Well, that's a flat Earth prerequisite. You can't describe 100 plus miles unless you're measuring it flat, because that's how it is measured. So who cares that there's no Earth curve in the way? So as I'm writing the story, giving anecdotes about people like Robin Poe and their experience as they come to flat Earth through an appreciation that there isn't anything obscuring her view, the measurements and maths that she's using to describe how there's nothing obscuring her view proved a flat Earth, and it took 10 years to realise that. Now that, to me, is something that can hook a reader into an interesting anecdote about a person who's linking up army relay stations in Ferrari, Italy, and getting a signal blocked by a literal mountain in the way, but not blocked by Earth curve, only for me to undermine the entire story by pointing out that the measurements are of a flat Earth. So throughout the story, it's peppering the way for the overarching point of the book. Now that, to me, is much more juicy and engaging than talking about gravity and Newton's or field equations or anything formula related, or looking at a link. That's just snoozeville. Now, don't get me wrong, I want all that stuff in there too, and it will be. And I've documented the process of acquiring it from two thieving fuckers. But what will be my book, once it's got my approval and tick at the end of it, is a page turner. Something that you can give to your wife and have her intrigued with reading. Because, I'm not without blowing my own trumpet too much, I've had a very interesting 10 years. Probably 11. This just tops it off, doesn't it? The deceit at the end of the book is a nice little ending to the book. Now, what they wanted as their swan song with a load of links and references, boring and snoozy that it was, will actually turn into them being described, well, not them, just QE. Adam's boring as fuck. Nobody's going to remember his name by Christmas. But QE certainly is a character. That's why people are sad. Like Eli's not going, oh, I'm so sad for Adam. They're going, I'm so sad for QE. He was a really interesting character. He had a lot to offer. Yeah, he did. So with his name changed, John Stingy, he'll be referenced. But as the deceitful, thieving fucker that he turned out to be.
You gonna turn his name to
Did you just say John Stingy? Boy, see what this is the Nathan Oakley we know and love. Boy, when they put you down, when they knuckle you down, you could get busy. And that's the first thing I thought of. Now Nathan's going to get serious and we're going to have the best book.
We could make dolls. Adam and Q Eve dolls.
Adam's not an interesting character. He doesn't have enough personality to turn into a character. I can easily turn... No, you're going to hate me. Right. Just everyone brace yourselves, okay? Arwen is a far more interesting character to write about than Adam. Adam's got very little personality to talk about. He's not interesting. Arwen is. It doesn't mean I'm going to turn Arwen into a character in the book. I might. Depends where he slots in, if he slots in at all. But by comparison, I'm just using these two individuals. Can I turn some boring pharmacist secretary into a character that will engage people in a book? No. I already assessed that with my wife. Is he a character? No. He doesn't have enough interesting about him to write about. So he will fade into obscurity because he's not interesting enough. Now, by contrast, can I spin Arwen into an interesting character that people will be like, who's this guy? He what? Sold his soul to Satan? Are you kidding? Who's this guy? That will be a page turner if you're reading about that character, right?
Yeah, but so many people do not want him in there. They won't buy the book if he's in there. You better rethink that one.
Right, so what you're saying is there's a passionate reaction to him immediately in the negative, all the better. Yeah. That's the same thing, isn't it? Same thing with QE. Oh, well, if you're going to talk about how you got fucked over by this deceitful, thieving bastard, I won't write it. Well, don't. But that's part of the journey I've gone through in the last 10 or 11 years of doing what I do. And it is legitimately interesting. The characters are all flawed and all interesting for the most part. There are a lot of people, no offence, I'm not going to name any names beyond who I've just mentioned, that are just boring, that just don't have enough about them to write about.
I'm glad you took Tent's advice on this, because had you gone the other way, if you lied or double-crossed, whatever, just to get your own stuff back, that could have cost you, like, everything, right? Because it's a delay in the book process, which is a big pain in the ass, but it would have definitely gotten out to the public. Oh, well, Nathan lied, and now everything he says is bullshit. Don't buy the book. And then people are like, yeah, well, he's a fucking liar. It's proven here. They got him doing this and this. Why would we buy the book? And we'll just leave his community too.
Exactly.
So that's huge.
Maybe that's the purpose. Maybe that is their place here, to divide us
Maybe.
up. Well, because, as you point out, I didn't buy into the easy route of just lying to get my own way. Yeah, it will cost me time. Yeah, it will cost me money. But rather that than be painted in the same way that they can be and will be painted for what they've done. No amount of we worked really hard will convince anybody that what they've done was the right thing. Nobody's convinced. Even Brian has to spin it as follows. Had things have worked out differently, you'd be the scumbag, Nathan. That's the only thing Brian, who's on their side, can spin this as. Well, if you'd have been different, you would be the scumbag, thieving, cheating scumbag. Yeah, well, things didn't work out differently, so they are the thieving, cheating scumbags, aren't they, Brian? Now, he won't admit that, because he wants to side with them. Brian, that is. But ultimately speaking, his only spin is to suggest that had things been differently, I would be the scumbag.
Yeah, I don't get that at all. I've had conversations with him, and I do not get that at all. And then from that point on, it turns into just us getting off the phone because I don't see it anyway. There's no way. There's no standing here from their part. None.
Yeah, what a shame.
Is Brian implying that if you helped them write a book, that you would have done the same in the end?
No, he's implying that if I'd have turned around, if they'd have been reasonable, let's say they'd just given it back and said, we want co-authorship, and then I turned around and said no, that somehow that would make me unreasonable. Now, it wouldn't in my own mind, but in Brian's mind, it would be unreasonable. But because they've attempted to blackmail me for what they want, they come off as total wankers. Yeah, they do. That is how it went down. And no, I didn't lie, cheat, deceive, or deny them something that they asked for. They asked to be acknowledged. I agreed. Then 3 months later, when no work had been done, nothing's changed since the last bit of work they did, and I agreed to credit them. Now they just want more. They've just decided. QE's decided what percentage he's getting, and that he's going to be talking to Chuck about it. What's that? He didn't want any money. Lying fucker.
Oh, from what I was told, he recanted that and said, "Forget it. I don't want any money, but I do want my name."
That's a
on the book."
lie. He hasn't spoken to me since. He's also said that, I'm aloof. I won't, negotiate with them. I'm unreasonable. They haven't spoken a sodding word to me from that conversation till now. How can he have recanted it? What he did do, lying bastard quantum eraser, was told me that he would acquiesce in those words. And then later said, I didn't mean give him back what's his by acquiescing. In other words, lie upon lie upon lie. He did exactly what I was being told and didn't do, which is lie to get your own way. Tell Nathan that you acquiesce, but that doesn't mean you acquiesce. So when John, not verbally, in one message, that's the only message I've had since, non-verbal, one message, I acquiesce, it's not worth our friendship, end quote, quantum eraser. That's what he sent me. Now, given that I'm saying, give me back what's mine, no, you're not going to get co-authorship, that was the end of the conversation after he'd told me what percentage he was going to get from Chuck. He then told me he acquiesced. Yeah, so he lied. He didn't acquiesce. He hasn't acquiesced. He's a total lying fucker. Now he's saying he didn't want any money. No, he did. He's a lying fucker. Oh, he recanted that? No, he hasn't. He said he acquiesced in regards to demanding with menaces that he get his own way. So he's just lying upon lies, isn't he?
Yeah, because they're saying if you sat down with them, they would waive every right to any kind of financial gain if you agree to their
I see.
authorship.
So if, hypothetically speaking, if they responded to the 24 messages I've sent them, I've sent them 24, so more lies then. I've contacted them repeatedly and they've ignored me. But if I was to talk to them, I've contacted them and they've ignored me. They've demanded money with menaces. They've withheld my own work that they said they were helping with. They've said they want financial compensation for it in percentage terms, that they'd be negotiating with my publisher. Now they're saying they would hypothetically recant that. They're just liars, aren't they? They can't help themselves.
What did you say when QE said acquiesce? Can you repeat that, the whole thing?
He said, I acquiesce, it's not worth our friendship, end quote.
Oh, so then I guess it was worth the friendship then, huh?
Yeah, it certainly seems that way. Because he didn't mean acquiesce. He later told Brian, well, when I said acquiesce, I didn't mean acquiesce. That's what he told Brian. In other words, I lied to Nathan and seemed like I was conceding. I wasn't. Now, that simultaneously was what I had told to me by people around me. Just tell them that you'll give them what they want and then don't. That's what QE did. I was told, he acquiesced, he didn't. Now he's going to tell an audience they didn't want any money. But it's only hypothetically if Nathan was to sit down with us. You're in fucking Missouri, you retard. How the fuck am I going to sit down with you? What I've done is contacted them dozens of times. Phoned them dozens of times. They've ignored every phone call. They've ignored every message. Lying bastards.
Yeah, they're gonna back. Well, when you say that, they're gonna say we had to because the way you were acting and because you brought the authorities in. That's why they can't respond. They're trying to cover their tracks.
I say, so they want to have their cake and eat it. They want to be able to say, no, whilst demanding percentages, we didn't really want percentage. And hypothetically, if we sat down with Nathan, which we can't, we wouldn't want any money. The tangled web we weave.
Well, let me just get this clear on the
not try
record.
going?
Hold on 1 second, because when I did bring that up to Nathan, and I said, listen, you're a great actor, just tell them to get anything they want, just get back in your position so you can get this book out. The first thing Nathan said was, no, I'd be just as bad as them. I'm not doing that.
I don't want to lie. I've done it before, and I'll probably do it again, and it probably won't work out well for me. But in this instance, I had so many people around me saying, don't do that. Especially 10th Man. No, don't do that. That's not the right thing to do. Now, if I had not had those people around me, would I have ended up lying? Probably. But I've got so much
to my
support.
Sicilian anger.
Yeah, because you're desperate. People pick on you when you're at your weakest, so that you'll make those kind of mistakes. But I had so much sage counsel from everybody around me who supported me in me being honest, decent, not lying, not saying I acquiesce when I don't, like QE has done, the lying fuckstick.
Yeah, because the easy thing to do is, well, they're trying to rob my book, so I'll get it back whatever way I can.
Yeah, and
they've picked really a point. Lie to yourself.
They've picked a point where I've said, look, I'm running out of microphones. I've been doing it, mitigating for your help with the book, which has delayed the book's publication because they wanted to make it better. So they've delayed the publication, which has meant that I've had more debts rack up. So I've had to mitigate by selling microphones. And at the point where I'm like, I'm almost run out. All right, I mean, I've kept the lights on for so long, but I'm so poor, and I'm because I'm overworked and overstressed. I'm now suffering both mentally and physically to the point where I'm in and out of hospital. That's when they pounced.
Yeah, see, that makes my theory. Well, I won't call it a theory, but that's what I'm thinking is this: they knew the situation. That's why there was nothing being done in the book. And I do remember you saying that Adam offered to give you some finances to hold you over. So I don't care what anybody says. I think this was conspired a long time ago.
Yeah, premeditated. That's nasty.
Had he given you those finances, he might have been able to hold you to something if you'd agreed to that. So I'm glad you didn't. And the more you said, you can't be selling mics no more. I was wondering, why are they not selling? Why are they not getting to work on a book?
That happened when I was in court previously with my former employer, because what I did was attempt to, because the solicitor had told me to, mitigate, in quotes, for my losses. You've got to go and mitigate. You can't just stay unemployed. You need to go and mitigate for your losses. So I made a load of, while I was fighting them, because I didn't have a lawyer full time. I couldn't afford one. I did most of the work myself. I did have one and could appeal to her and my barrister for that matter. I had a legal team, so to speak. But the point was that most of the work, the donkey work, was being done by me, which meant I didn't have time to get a job. But they were like, well, you need to have mitigated because it will go against you if you don't mitigate. So I'm like, fine, I put in applications for jobs that were just totally irrelevant to me and my skills. In other words, it was bullshit mitigation. So this time, when I got the help from the thieving fuckers, I did legitimately, and I used the word, I don't know if you remember me using it, mitigated for my losses with microphones. Do you remember me saying it? That's what it was. Mitigation. Yep. So when Adam came to me, like the deceitful shit that he is, to offer me financial assistance, I turned around and said no. Said I've mitigated for my losses, meaning the losses they had caused me by delaying this whole process. Now, like I say, on yesterday's Uncut and After show on the second channel, as I was monitoring it, I'm pointing out to the audience, I could have pulled the trigger on the book at any time and it would be published. But for the fact that these two thieving fuckers wanted to usurp me and take ownership of what was mine, it wouldn't have been delayed. It would have already been published, wouldn't it? But they delayed it.
Yeah, and that's what I can understand when you're saying like the mics are running out and you're talking about the book and they're not getting to work on it. I'm like, what's going on here? It's been 4 or 5 weeks. I don't know if you remember, but I think I suggested to you, why don't you just get it back and go to work on it yourself? Because weeks had gone by and nothing was done. Now, how is that the act of a friend? Wouldn't you want to speed up the process to get it done?
No,
we're waiting for a chair.
They wanted to weaken me, make me more desperate, more pliable to get what they wanted. As the story unfolds, the level of scumbaggery is absolutely off the scale, isn't it? And what are they doing in the aftermath? Lying upon lie upon lie, aren't they?
Yep, seems that way.
Why not try going through a mediator, maybe?
Yeah, like Brian. Well, I tried to communicate with them directly. They wouldn't have a bar of it, so Brian got in touch.
Yeah, but Brian, still has, it's a, you got to get somebody that's neutral, not that neither is a friend to you nor him.
Okay. I mean, what I was told by Brian, I mean, because we've had mediation of sorts, regardless of how biased you see Brian, was Adam telling me, as a friend, you should get legal advice so you don't end up in a situation you can't get out of. That's what I got. And then it's, Nathan's made this legal. Like, I've been thieved from by you and now you're extorting from me. And you're telling me go and get legal advice. What the fuck do you expect?
Yeah, I would try to do mediation before legal. Like I said, somebody that's non-biased between both of y'all.
That's fine. I don't need them anymore. I can walk away. What have they got? A draft? Well, unless they intend to plagiarise my work I've documented over the last 2 years by publishing various chunks of it, there's a reason everyone's on my side, Albariqua, because the members, over the course of the work that's been done, have seen me publish various chunks of them working under my supervision in members-only chats. So should suddenly there be a book that says it's quantum erasers and any of those fucking words have been published on my website, I'll sue him for plagiarism. Because it's already been published under my... That's why people are claiming there's a leaked copy. Why? Because I had the foresight to know somebody might try and shaft me and I might need to show a judge that this is definitely my work published on my channel on this date. So there it is. It's already there. That's why people think there's a leaked copy. Well, because people have scraped it off my members-only videos. Well, I knew what I was doing when I published those videos. Like I keep saying, I'd never anticipated that it would be bleeding QE that I might be standing in front of a judge going, no, he's plagiarised this. Here is it published on my channel. Long before. And what's he going to say? Well, look, there's me working on it. What? Yeah, under my supervision for my book? Yeah, that's right. You thieving wanker.
Yeah, he thinks it is. They think it's their writing because they were helping, so... And I think it's theirs. It's weird, very weird.
Yeah, it's like the guy designing the Jaguar deciding that the new Jag's his. No, you worked for Jaguar to produce the new Jaguar. They worked for me to produce my book. Now, they offered their assistance, making it better, when they read the original draft that was ready for publication, and they stopped publication to make my book better. That's what they sold to me. Another lie.
Yeah, well, people are taking that Jaguar analogy and saying, no, the people at Jaguar get paid. I said, yeah, but they agreed. You got to go back to the original tapes, the original recordings, what everybody agreed upon, that they would help you. So that means they were not asking for finances.
Yeah, sorry, if they'd have come to me and said, oh, we'll help you, in quotes, our hourly rate is, I'd have laughed in their face and said, no, that's not help. That's you becoming a paid employee. Now, in terms of the agreement, effectively, they were employees working under my supervision for free, as agreed, with no credit being agreed until later down the line, when I agreed to credit them, but it still weren't enough, was it? They wanted a percentage. What's that? Had they have sat down with Nathan, they would have rescinded the demands for a percentage because they didn't actually want any money. No, it just makes it seem like it's not done for mercenary reasons when they lie to an audience about not wanting any money. In reality, QE demanded percentages, and now they're lying about that fact because the web gets bigger because they've been deceitful. So the web of lies increases.
All the more's the pity. It's very sad. That's the real thing. It is sad. Because how many years have gone into this? And how long you know these people? Show after show after show. And now it's just thrown out the window.
2 years on the book. I've known QE for about 6 years.
Yeah, and that's the sad part. It really is. But, you get over those things. Feelings go away. You get stronger. And then you defend yourself better for the next stab in the back.
Yeah, like I keep saying, the reason they've done this and don't care about the attitude of the general public is because they were going to walk away anyway. They kept calling it their swan song. To Brian, I might say. Not to me. They hadn't got the guts to actually say it to my face. But according to Brian, third-hand information passed on via the mediation, they wanted a swan song because they're bored of the subject and want to walk away. So they don't care if everybody turns on them and thinks they're pariahs and Judases and traitors. because they were going to walk away anyway. And they thought, oh, we've got a strong enough hand to have our name on the front of this book, so in 5 years, who's going to care? Wrong. Think again, you stupid pair of shitheads.
Yeah, and I didn't understand the conference call to me, Flatsy, Betty, Adam, and QE. I'm like, the first thing I'm like, is where's Nathan? Why is Nathan not here on this call? Like, I don't get it. So you're trying to, like, justify what you're doing, and it just ain't going to work. Then he sent me a message. Well, I tried to talk to Nathan, but he got emotional and hung up. And then I find out that it was the other way around. It's like the lies just don't stop.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm glad it's got out on a public show. It had to be done. I'd rather it was just done inadvertently rather than me planning it. But it had to go out to the public eventually.
To be honest, doesn't sound good that QE didn't address it at all. So, it's kind of good that you did get it out on a public show. I didn't know that you didn't get it out. So everything we talked about was in the after show. This is the first time it's on a public live show.
Correct.
I didn't know that. Oh, that's good. You got nothing to hide, Nathan. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, but I don't want to shame them. Right, that's not my bag. So I buried it 4 hours deep in a Uncut and After show.
Oh, that's you. I didn't give a shit. I went right on 24/7 and shamed them. I don't freaking care. They crushed you. They crossed the line. They hurt me. They hurt a lot of people.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Well, that's the only time I got a what do you call it? An answer from him, because I know he was listening. He's always listening. Oh, he got in touch with me after I brought it up on 24/7. Told me to take a boat ride to Missouri and straighten him out.
Really? I'm pretty sure there's a way to save both the relationship and the book and everything like that, man. There's always a way. I mean, if y'all really are willing to work together, because y'all been working together for what, 5-6 years, like you just said.
Yeah, but that time has passed.
Well, go on.
Yeah,
what would be your solution, Albariqua?
Like I said, mediation probably through somebody, like I said, would probably be the best way and the easiest way.
Well, who though?
And
do you think mediation would change the lies and deceit? So they don't want any money, but they did ask for money, but they wouldn't be asking for money if I sat down. So future tense, they wouldn't want money after asking for money. They're just liars, aren't they? How can you mediate that specific scenario? If you were the mediator, what would you do with that?
I mean, usually in progressions of things, like when you're building, right? You're building a book. It's your book, 100%. You have sometimes you go with help, and then like, hey man, you will put a lot into it, and you want a little bit more, right? And then of course you gave them that little bit more. Now they want more than what they wanted at first. You can probably work out a deal where but again, it has to be mediated between both of y'all, meaning probably if not money, something else, or just some kind of little negotiation between both of y'all to just kind of settle the deal, like the art, the art of the deal. You got to work somehow if y'all want to continue to have a relationship, friends, and because things happen between people that come up, but is it worth losing a relationship for that? That's the question.
No, I've spent 4 weeks trying to mitigate and stop that happening. They didn't give a fuck and haven't responded to a single word I've said to them. So, no, I would agree with you. And I've done everything in my power to not personally and publicly shame them for 4 straight weeks. And they've ignored everything I've done. In fact, what they've done is victim blamed me the entire time. This is really my fault. They didn't like they robbed it because they didn't like my tone. That's what they've told Brian to tell me. They didn't like my tone, so they robbed it from me. That's what they're claiming. Victim blaming.
Yeah, that's the question you got to ask them, though, Bariqua. Is it worth losing your relationship that you guys have established for all these years?
Yeah, they're walking away.
They want off the ship, bro.
They don't care about the relationships. They're walking away, aren't they? One song, end quote them.
Well, this is one thing I did get clear, and beyond the shadow of a doubt. There's nothing going to be released unless they get off the ship. Go off the ship, their name under your name. That's a fact. That I know for sure.
That's what they're demanding. I know that. They won't be getting that.
Well, so anybody that's going to mediate, that's what they're going to get stuck with. Unless they had a change of heart and they come to realization and they say, you know what, forget it. But then, a lot of things come with that. There's got to be a repentance. Like when my friend betrayed me, he showed me sincere repentance, and I embraced him.
If they're going to walk away from Flat Earth, that means they have to walk away from Nathan Oakley, because Nathan Oakley is Flat Earth. So they want to go out with a bang and cause him the most damage on the way out.
And use his name.
What they're asking for was never on offer. They wouldn't need to withhold material from me and demand it if it was on offer, would they?
Yeah, 100%.
Right. So all they're doing is proving how scummy they are.
And I can't imagine that either of those two are in the same position financially that most of us are.
No,
so it's really,
Adam's quite hard. He's hard up having spent 20 grand on Warhammer figures. He's struggling.
Exactly. So it has to be more than financial, right?
Yeah, they want to put a mark on something that won't be forgotten. That is to say, they're parasitical to my 10 or 11 years of work. Notice they're not asking for full authorship. Yeah, because they don't need their no names on some book that won't sell. That'll be snooze full of links. If you want to see what would be Quantum Racer's book, just go to his website and you'll see all the links and references there. No worries. That's what he would have produced. It's boring and it won't be what I put my name on. But they don't want their names to be on a book. They want their names next to my name, don't they? Because they're parasites. Well, fuck you, exactly. Pair of parasites. You won't be getting what you want. And should you try and thieve what is my intellectual property already published, then you'll fucking know about it in a hurry.
Well, there was the other thing, too, that they felt, and I'm going to give a fair shake here, they felt that after all the work they did, when they found out that you were going to get the final edit, they felt like, well, what the heck did we do all this work for?
For a friend.
To help a friend out who was poor. To help make my book the best book it could be, like they told me and an audience that all know that already. Like what they told everybody. That's why. Oh, so what they're saying is what they told everybody they were doing wasn't what they were doing. Why would they do that? Because that's what they said. Specifically.
Yeah, they didn't realize that you were going to get the final edit and take out what you wanted to take out. And see, that's the delusion. It was your book, so how can you not?
But let me get it straight. They were upset. These pair of fuckwits were upset that I would get the final edit on my book.
Yeah, and then you would take out everything.
So basically, what you're telling me is these two idiots are retards. Like mentally handicapped, like so fucking retarded that they believe that they get final edit on a book they were helping out with the 5th draft of. No, any shite that was boring as all fuck, I would have put a line through rather than under. That's right, Quantum Eraser, if you're listening, you abject spastic. You think I wouldn't put a line through your boring shit? Yeah, I would.
Hey, Nathan, you might have already... Was your point before all this came out where there was a little red flag waving in your head thinking something's not quite right? What was that point?
No. What I do is get my ducks in a line so that I don't need to worry about people I think I should trust. I'll express the trust until after the fact, and then after the fact, I'll go back to the recordings and start transcribing it, having given them every opportunity to make good what they've stolen from me. Now, like I keep saying, the red flags, I don't like that. I don't like sitting here thinking, is Brian really a shill? Is he really out to fuck me over? I don't like thinking that way. I don't want to think that way about anybody who's around me. I want to trust people. Now, will I cover my back in case people I do legitimately trust fuck me over? Yeah, I do. I've learned my lessons through life that people can and do fuck you over. Therefore, all you can do is cover your back and then move forward in the most trusting way possible. That's the only way you get to hold your head up high. If I'm constantly looking for red flags, then I wouldn't be nice to be around. No one would want to be around me because I'd be sniffing out and suspicious and odd with you. If I was looking for red flags one deck with you, you'd detect that, wouldn't you?
I didn't really mean what I meant, Nathan, was during the book reviews and when you was all working together before any of this even became apparent. Was it something along the way where you thought something doesn't feel right? You know, that's what I meant.
Not especially
with the way people were. No,
not really.
Where you thought, and then sure, where is if things were being planned behind your back, possibly. That it was you'd noticed a few things and thought, yeah, I was right about that feeling I had.
No, everyone around me said
asking.
that instead one deck. So there's people who've come up and said, at the point that they said these words, I started to get suspicious that they'd try and shaft you. I'm like, oh, really? Oh, that's interesting. And then someone else come along and go, oh, well, actually, when they said this, I thought, red flag. I'm like, oh, right, I didn't think that.
Yeah, because you totally
trusted them.
Why would you not trust your friends? I mean, that's ridiculous.
If I can't trust them, I don't want them as friends. That's kind of why, no offense to you, Alberico, and you're like, oh, well, things can be mended. No, I'm pretty trusting and I'm all in with my friends. Yeah, you know, you might occasionally fall out. Again, that's why I keep highlighting Anthony Riley, right? Because there's been so many times that Anthony Riley and I have, quote unquote, fallen out. But it isn't the same. It's not the same as this, right? He's not stabbing me in the back and robbing from me. Far from it. We argue about the, I don't know, curve calculator or something for the sake of argument. A perception of him versus me in terms of what it means and the implications thereof, and we'll fall out over that. But then, you know, however long elapses, and I'll be asking him about something that's going on in my life. He'll be showing me his car that he's painted. In other words, it kind of, life moves on and you don't care. That's why he was at the top of the list. Because of all the people, comparatively speaking, I've fallen out with Anthony dozens of times over various different subjects that we argue like brother and sister about, or brother and brother, you know what I mean? So from that perspective, you know, Anthony's still always there as a good mate. So I can use that as an example because it's not the same. In other words, I still, even when I'm arguing with Anthony, trust that he's my mate. That's how it should be. So when it comes to, did you see any red flags? No. I trusted them as friends. I trusted that when they said, when people say, we're helping you make this the best flat earth book it can possibly be. And when it goes out with your name on it, it will also represent the wider group. Those are the kind of things they were saying to me. Not when it goes out with our names on it. They didn't say that. So in other words, I trust that what they say is what they mean. When they say, we want to help you make this better, I trust that that's what they actually mean. Not, do they really mean we want to delay this process by 12 months so we can steal it from you? I don't want to be the person that feels that way about my friends. So right up until the point and after that they'd done this, because I even said in the disclaimer, I don't think they're bad people, they just made a bad decision. Well, at that moment, I'm like Alberico, still thinking, no, there could be reconciliation here. They just have to do the right thing. They didn't. What they did was continually lie. Oh, we didn't want any money. Didn't, past tense. No, future tense. If we were to sit down with him, we'd rescind the fact we've demanded money with menaces. Like, that's not the same thing, you lying fucker. Why would I want to be this person's friend? I can't trust them.
Well, they're going to flip the friendship thing around by this. And this is what they said. We were waiting for Nathan to come to us and tell us, because you've done so much work, I'm going to put you down as authors of the book, which I found that very weird. Like, they were waiting for you to come to them for what? This is just something that they're using to try to gain support.
It just lies. So telepathically, we'd already arranged what they would get credit-wise, though. I've got it recorded, haven't I? Oh, wow, that's not good enough to not name any names in the book. Names need naming. We've done a lot of work. Yeah, fair enough. What do you want? Well, we need a bit in the book that says, without our help, you couldn't have done it. All right, okay, well, that's fair enough, I suppose. In the book, I'll credit you and Quantum Eraser for having done a lot of work. Okay. So it's agreed then. So then you move on and you get on, and no, that wasn't enough. But did they tell me that? No, they had a feeling that I'd come to them and offer them more than we'd agreed. That's just bullshit, isn't it? Well, why did you have a discussion with me and get an agreement with me if you had a feeling I'd come after we'd agreed and give you even... No, that's just bullshit.
Yeah, that's what frustrates me, why people, even entertain that. Like, I was like, are you serious? You're going to entertain that? Because I can see for right what it is. That's just them trying to justify and gain support and the sympathy of the public. It's just not going to happen. And when Anthony Riley, you could fall out with him a million times, but he's still never going to come back on the show. He's falling out with the show, not with you.
Right.
Yeah, he told me that boat has sailed. I tell you, when it comes to that, he's stubborn, man. Like, why don't you just come back on the show? There's new people that would love to hear from you. No, mate, that boat has sailed.
On Dave Weiss's boat, by chance?
Dave Weiss's yacht has sailed. Nathan, you could have been part of that yacht.
Yeah, the same sort of scenario, isn't it? Being told by Dave Weiss that I could have been on his boat. What, with Jaren? With Jaren? Yeah, that worked out well, Dave. Yeah. That didn't backfire.
Yeah, now they're sailing around the globe together.
And the really big ball?
It could be a really, really big ball. You just don't understand large spheres. Nobody but Jiren understands large spheres.
Please don't elaborate on that.
Just makes you wonder about everything. That's what a lot of people are saying too. Geez, FED's torn apart now too? Gee, we don't know what to think anymore.
Just to be clear, Brian's under the apprehension that none of you guys are helping me. I'll just read out this little excerpt. Because of your position, you have a lot of yes men around you, and I understand that they're being loyal to you, but they're not helping you and can't help you in this situation. If that's going to be their only input, cheering you on is not going to win a court case for you. Get that advice. Get that advice.
Yeah, he thinks it's their book.
My God, I'm reading.
Ryan
Can you hear me
thinks they wrote
reading?
it.
For fuck's sake, Neil, can you hear me?
I actually didn't, sorry.
I'm in the middle of a frickin' sentence, mate. If that's going to be their only input, cheering you on is not going to win a court case for you. Get that advice. That would be the advice Adam told me to get. And be wise about this. You may not like the tone of my text, but at least I'm being honest with you. And in my opinion, for what it's worth, you're going to need right now. My response. So, my bitch-hurt secretary is now suggesting that he's going to take me to court, eh? Absolutely hilarious. Tell him 2 things. 1, because I've been good friends with Adam for so many years, I would like him to actually go and get some legal advice before he ends up putting himself in a position he cannot get himself out of. Bent over the desk like an obedient secretary. 2, I would like it in writing that Adam and QE enjoyed the taste of my nuts, and that they understand that QE may now make the main text, but Adam is so utterly forgettable that he won't even make the bitch hurt back pages, end quote, of my book. I got my ducks in a line long before these 2 idiots got invited to help me with it. And then I say, as for the Antarctic thing, because Brian, that is, waffled on about something to do with Antarctica in the middle of this mediation that he's offering. Then he says that he doesn't want to send my messages to Adam and QE. Yeah? He says something like, I'll just see if I can find an excerpt that points that out. Listen, I've made an agreement with them, and I'll make the same with you. I'll only relay between you exactly what you both say. So do you really want this relayed to the other side? Blah, 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 blah. And I say, I don't mind what you do. Send it, don't send it, makes no difference to me. Didn't think you wanted to keep secrets from them. I can try and send it telepathically if you like the permission they wanted. They will hear my thoughts, I'm sure. Oh, crystal ball, can QE and what's-his-name taste how salty my balls are? I'm getting a feeling, Brian. It's coming. Crystal ball. Yes, Nathan, it would appear they are very salty. I thought they would be, crystal ball. I had a feeling QE would like them nuts. What's the other guy called again? End of my message.
Yeah, Brian thinks that they have their own book. That I told you that. He thinks you don't have a shot because everything written is from them, not from you.
All right. So the bits that have been published with a date on it won't stand up in court as being published already under my name then? I think they will have a bit of a problem if they try and publish my 5th draft, given that huge chunks of it have already been published on my channel with a date stamp.
Yeah, I was asked how much of the book has Nathan written. I said, are you serious? The whole book? It's about flat earth debate and housekeeping, so I'm saying the whole book. It's just being edited, no matter what you say.
Right, how much of the Jaguar was created in the Jaguar workshop by these 2 wankers that stole the blueprints? Was that a Jaguar being created in the... How much of that Jaguar is actually Jaguar's? It's theirs because they designed it in the Jaguar workshop. It's theirs now. Are they fucking delusional?
Well, they're claiming that all you put in was the muffler.
Put in was the what?
The exhaust.
Oh, really? In the Jaguar plant? Yeah, with the supervisor supervising their work, it makes no difference. I said this to Alberico. It wouldn't matter if I didn't do a single thing or lift a single finger. What was being done was creating my book with my supervision, and the chunks of work they've done to date were published with timestamps to prove beyond all certainty, potentially to a judge who owns this intellectual property. Make no mistake, it's me. Now, like I keep saying, these are my quote-unquote ducks being got into a line, so that should someone try and plagiarise my work, I can demonstrate beyond all doubt who it belongs to, based on who's publishing it. That'd be me on my channel at dates that precede their plagiarism, Your Honour.
Yeah, the only way they would have any standing is if they got permission from you in your room to write their book. And there's nothing in there. It's always been your book.
Yeah.
So that's why I say they have no standing.
What I personally liked best was Adam saying, I wouldn't write a single word without you being here because it's your book. So why is this being published by them precisely if they decide to steal the 5th draft and publish it? I'm pretty sure this is Adam's own words describing how he's writing on my behalf under my supervision and wouldn't do it unless I'm there. What's that? He thinks it's his? No, that's just a lying cunt telling the person he's about to rip off how much it's their work, my work being there. My work is what Adam's describing, and how he won't be there unless I'm there because it's mine. What's that? You thought it was yours? That sounds very different to the words that have been published, doesn't it? Lying bastards. They're just going to lie their way out of this, or attempt to. Well, it's not going to garner them any friends, is it? And they don't care because they're planning on walking away anyway.
Yeah, that's why I was asked, well, if you feel that way about them, how are you ever going to face them again, seeing that you've called them a scumbag and all the other stuff? I said, because that's what they are, and that's the facing them again.
Oh, no worries.
I don't want to have anything to do with them.
No. Let's get that squared away straight away. I will look them in the face. Right, if I was in court with them after I won, I'd spit in their face and call them thieving fuckers. Make no mistake. There's only one person discussing this with their head held high, and it certainly isn't these two thieving bastards that in future tense didn't want any money. That kind of sounds like they weren't asking for any money. Unless you've proven to be a demonstrable fucking liar by your own words where you were demanding percentages. Oh, right, if I was to sit down, I would retract that. So in future tense, having asked for money, you didn't want any money. It just sounds like you're a liar. Well, do you think I'm not going to have any issue looking down the barrel of a camera and calling them lying fuckers? I'd say it to your faces, you pair of lying fuckers. Metaphorically, I'd want to slit your throats while I did it. For thieving from me, lying to me, and wasting a lot of my time under the guise of helping me. That just makes you both scumbags. Now, those are facts that I'd say to your face. I'd look you in the eye and call you a thieving fucker. Because that's what you are. Make no mistakes about it.
Yeah, I think he meant me because I said it. I said, I don't care. I told you when they tried to call me and give an excuse for what they're doing, I told them I don't have anything to do with them. So I don't care.
Nathan, like I said, I'm still here to try to see if there's a way to mediate things, right?
Fair enough.
So I'm thinking of it this way, as let's say a small business, when they start, main guy starts, they started asking you for help. I mean, let me rephrase that. They say they were going to help. Then they ask for a little more, which usually in a small business, when you start it up, they ask for a percentage. If you want them to help, you help them out and give them a percentage. And then sometimes, again, I'm just thinking about it in their perspective. You want more, right? They want more because they helped a lot, whatever, yada, yada, yada. As a small business, you will usually
carry on here, let me just stop you there. How much help have they given me? Given that I do have the overarching ability to decide what goes in and what doesn't. So it might be, given that I'm currently transcribing all of their so-called help that they've stolen back, I might go through all of it and go, this is all shite, mightn't I? So when you say, well, we might decide that the design they did for Jaguar was all shite, therefore they should get how much credit? What if I decide as the fucking author that I don't want any of their shite, boring garbage, and I put a line through 99.9% of it? I keep a couple of commas. Just bear that in mind, okay? Carry on.
I understand that, right? So like I said, in a small business, the company starts with one man that has the idea that wants everything. That this is what he wants. Gets the extra help, just because they helped. Whether you keep the stuff they wrote, and let's say I'm a software engineer, I'm creating this app. Not everything that they wanted to add is going to be kept in that app, right?
Yeah.
I might not like some of the things, some of the plugins, or some of the extra stuff they wanted in there.
Yeah, I like this analogy. Keep going. This is good.
So as the company, let's say I'm ready to publish. They've helped me out. I understand this part where they hijack, wanting to keep the code and say, "Hey, I'm not giving you code unless I want more." Right, yes, that's the completely wrongful way of doing it. 100%, I disagree with that because that's just wrong. Now they could have come up to you, be like, "Okay, but first we wanted a little bit, but now we want more." Yada yada yada. We want more. They could have come at you that way, and but they came at you a wrong way. This could be mediated, right? Because in the future, this is your first book. Not, or I don't know if that's your first book, but let's say this is your first book. With their help, they might be able to write. We might be able to read more if there's some percentage workout where now we could write another book because now they have a reason to write more because the first book, let's say, if it does goes out and sells and it's making good money, y'all can make another bigger book or whatever, or part 2 to the book, which probably make even more to help you guys out. Even though, let's say,
let me just
they're
stop you
saying
there.
now that they don't
Let me
want
stop
the
you there.
money.
Hold on. Let me just stop you there. That was on offer. So the program that was being, or is now in effect, actually, it's already running, is an affiliate program where if you have a link to my book, let's say you've got your website that you've programmed and is out live, and on your website you have a link to my book, then you get the same amount I do. You'd get 30%, I'd get 30%. That is to say, you would earn the exact same amount for selling the book via your link in the affiliate program than I would get. In other words, it was already in place that there was plenty of opportunity for anybody to make bloody good money by promoting my book. So that was already in place, having been negotiated. One of the things that QE started spitting and swearing at when he was demanding money was that wasn't good enough.
Yeah, well, I see his point in a way.
So
right?
you're saying that he gets a third, I get a third, the publisher gets a third. It's not good enough. Maybe QE should get more.
No. It's not about the more. It's about it's because it's only about according to what he sells. But let's say you sell somebody else, he gets another third. That's not the point. The point is it's the how can I say it? It's the overall, right? So as in a business, when it say if I got 2 employees and I decided to give them a percentage, not on what they sell, but a percentage of the whole. It's not 30%. That you would probably say 5 and 5%, right?
So you're
You
saying
would give them 5 each.
So you're saying in this scenario, you'd give up shares in your business to your employees?
Correct.
Okay.
And
the book doesn't.
in a
Just
small
so
business,
you were
they
clear,
do that.
the book doesn't exist yet. When I said in my statement that the chips aren't real, the money's not existing yet. We're on a 5th draft that they've delayed. There is no money. Yes. There is no shares. There's no money to give. There's only the delay they've caused in the 5th draft. That's it.
Yes. And this happens again in also in, like, let's say a software company that say I will give 5%. Let's say to them, I'll break out of the 30%. I'll break out 5% for each. And then even though the money's not there, the 5% is just here's part of the business. So you're now they're going to be dedicated to that 5% because they want that 5% to go, and they will give probably more of themselves to the business that they were at the beginning.
Okay.
Is this based on that they've invested?
Time of they've worked. This is the time of you give them 5% that they have work and based on performance. In other words, if you actually are going to contribute more, then you're going to get that 5%. That's what you probably put on paper.
So would it be fair then if I buy the book and I will read it 5 or 6 times, and then I say, "Hey Nathan, I bought your book and I read it 5 or 6 times. I've got more time invested in it than Kiwi and Adam."
No,
How about
that's
that
not the
reading
word.
level?
No,
I mean,
that's
it's
not
the same logic.
the same idea. Not the same idea.
Well, if it's based on their time, it absolutely is. Because
No, it's based
they
on
said
time
to a
work to
friend that they
help,
would help.
right? It's based on the time work that they've had write or are going to write more on the book.
Sure, but that's not the scenario. I mean, as much as Neil said it earlier, in the same way Brian suggested that, right, if they'd have done it in a reasonable manner, well, they haven't.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. Their approach was completely, off to the right, and especially holding it hostage. What they should have done is ask for more and say based on, because it's not gonna. There's no money in there yet. So I know you say they're gonna get affiliated with the, with the affiliate link, they get 30% as well. But what this should happen if they, if they were going to try it and actually negotiate something, would be like, hey, can I get 5%, of the whole thing, where I get a share regardless if I'm the one selling or somebody else sells, and I'm actually gonna work twice as hard, for what, for that 5% extra.
I see. So if they came to me and went, well, I'll go out on the road and promote the book.
Not only that, I'm actually gonna go work and write more to the book as well. And in other words, and even though they already said they're gonna help with the book, but now they're gonna put themselves into more of a I'm gonna write more into the book than rather just give you a help.
So what you're saying is what they'd already offered for free, they offer for 5% after the fact.
Correct.
Well, at which point I'd say, so you don't want to offer any help for free, and I'm not willing to give you 5%, so it's time for you to walk away.
Yeah, and then that will be the choice they could do, just walk away.
Yeah, then they could make that choice and it would be amicable. No, what they actually did was just fuck me over and lie and deceive and then steal and then try and blackmail me. So as much as it would be nice if the world was very different and they hadn't been cheating, thieving, scheming bastards, then the world would be very different, wouldn't it?
I mean, I think in their perspective, they're trying to make a deal, right? They're trying to make a deal, but of course they went about it the wrong way.
Is that how you do it? Is that how you make deals?
Right.
You withhold the work that you've done to date and blackmail the person you're trying to do a deal with. Is that how the world works? Is that reasonable behaviour?
I think they felt that was probably the only way you're probably going to them for a deal with a deal.
I see. So the only way is to blackmail me.
No, I mean, because you could definitely say no regardless, right?
Well, according to them, if I say no, then they can withhold the 12 months of work that they've done for free. So, in other words, they will cause a massive hindrance and hold up and financial losses to me as a consequence of me saying no. So they're kind of putting me in a position where I have to say yes. Now, what I've done is I've told them to suck my fucking balls, and that I'd already covered my own ass by recording all the sessions, so that when they come and blackmail me, I can tell them to go fuck themselves, because they're trying to blackmail me. What you're saying, Alberico, is they felt like they had no choice but to be deceiving, lying, thieving bastards that blackmail people to get their own way. And they thought they had a strong enough set of cards to be able to achieve their ends. Well, they rolled the dice, they laid the cards on the table, and they weren't as good as they thought. And what they got was told to suck on my bollocks. No, is what they got told when they asked. But they said, well, right, well, if the answer's no, then we'll fuck you over and hold up your process by 12 months then. That's what they're doing.
Well, our boy's just finding out about this. He's going through what we all went through 2 weeks ago. So I understand.
It's been 2 weeks. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, all of these reasonable scenarios that you're suggesting, I was all the more willing to do. They just had to do the right thing. So Brian was like, so if they just handed it back now, would you negotiate? I was like, yeah. Will they? No. They didn't. Now the time has passed. Now it's gone to a wider audience. I gave them deadlines. Now they thought I was just bluffing. Why? Well, because I didn't tell them I'd got recordings. They thought their hand was stronger than it actually is. Now, like I said, that's why I put about gambling and my grandmother not liking playing cards. At the point that you realise you're at a fucking gambling table with your friends is the point that I stand up and go, I don't want to be at this gambling table. Why the hell am I sat here? So I have to cut my losses and walk away. Not the way I wanted.
I mean, my thing is like, you know, would it meaning in I'm thinking about it not in a relationship kind of way, but in a business kind of way. Would it be better if they were partners that will actually help and actually create a bigger business for you? That's my question.
How are they going to do that? Right,
No,
Adam,
in other words,
Adam who? How do you spell his surname?
Say that again?
How do you spell Adam's surname?
Like I said, Adam. I can see what you're saying about Adam.
How do you spell his surname? My question is, how do you spell his surname? What is his surname?
Meekin? Adam Meekin? Isn't it Meekin?
How'd you spell it?
Mickan?
Wrong. So you don't even know how to spell his surname. He's a fucking nobody. You think he's going to help me promote my book? He's a fucking nobody. You can't even know. You don't even know how to spell his name.
I mean, maybe
so
not.
So Al Baruch, your point is they'll help me how? They were helping me. Their help was to be the boffins that could write formulas better than me. And I accepted that they would be better at doing that than me. And I stepped off as they did it. And then they turned around and went, well, that makes it ours now. That just makes them cunts.
That's what I mean, though. Let's say in a instead of not being a character, Meekin might not be a character that you might be one that's being promoted on the book. But I'm saying, meaning the logistical part, the maybe even the financial part, probably helping out in getting your business up higher and better. This is what I mean.
Well, what they've done is actually cost me money. They're costing me money as we speak. So again, 3 weeks ago, yeah, maybe that would be the case. Now, I'm literally having to pay my wife to transcribe the work from the videos that I recorded so that they couldn't be in a position to fuck me over and demand these things. Like I'd have nothing unless I agreed. Now, that's not the case, though, is it? I can tell them to suck on my fucking bollocks because I haven't got nothing. I've recorded all the sessions and now I'm transcribing them at my financial detriment. So you're saying maybe they could help me out financially? They're costing me fucking money.
Yeah, because this should have never been the case at all. And all these what if motherfuckers should not be trusted either.
No, I don't. I'm not going to say that about El Breaker or Brian because they're trying to. They've only just found out, right? This has only just gone to a wider public audience, and they're in their mind like, well, there must be a way of salvaging this. It was the first thing Neil said when he found out about a week in. Like, surely there's something that can be done. I'm like, well, yeah, that's why I'm appealing. I've tried to appeal to them. They've ignored me. Now I'm appealing to you guys. Let's see if we can get this rectified. Did it help? Did it work? No. So, yeah, I can totally understand the what if hypothetical scenarios coming out from everybody because they want to explore all angles and reconcile. Because everyone wants things to be how they were, where two of the people that everyone trusted aren't thieving, deceiving fuckers, blackmailing one of their friends because they're not getting their own way. But yeah, you roll that dice, make someone aware that they're at a poker table, and what do you know? They've got a better hand than you thought. And you're being told, no, you can go fuck yourselves. What's that? Unless I do what you say, you won't give it me back. Keep it. Don't publish it, though, because you'll be plagiarising my work that I've already documented the process of with dates. So I've already got the receipts. No problem. But what I've also got is all the material. It's just going to take me a long time to transcribe it. I hadn't got the Word document to work from. Yeah, I've got to piece it together from video recordings, which is a pain in the arse and costing money and time.
I want to know how people would react if the shoe was on the other foot and you did something like this to them.
Right. I was just going to say that because the what if people it didn't happen to them. And what that tells me is, yeah, this sucks, but if we could fix it, then Nathan could pretend this never happened, or that feeling that he got, the betrayal, all that goes away. No, it doesn't. I get that people want to come to some kind of solution, right? I get that, but still, it doesn't take away the fact that it happened and the damage that has caused.
Exactly.
Yeah, I brought that up. They didn't care. They did not care.
Yeah, and they're not going to. If they see their parasitical name going on my book as their swan song because they're bored of the subject and want to walk away, they don't care if you guys hate them after the fact. If I say, I had to be blackmailed to give them this, who's going to care, right? They're already walking away into the distance. So who cares? But their marks left on my book. Well, no, I'm afraid not, lads. What, you thought I'd have nothing unless I kowtowed to your demands that you're blackmailing me with? Oh, well, what do you know? With a bit of effort, I can walk away from this poker table, having laid down my 4 aces and told you to go fuck yourselves and asked you how my balls taste. I mean, I'm still willing to negotiate. If I get it in writing how salty my balls were, maybe we can move forward.
They're not giving up that book.
But giving it up when they gave up their time on all the recordings that I've got, and some of them are published as members-only videos, they'd already given up that time. They'd already given up that effort in assistance of me writing my book. And I've got verbal agreements to what they would receive as compensation for that, and they have agreed to it. So I'm not really that concerned about what they're going to demand after the fact, because they've stolen something and feel that they can blackmail me with it. They can't.
Yeah, they're putting a separation between chapters. They're saying after chapter 5 or 4, they couldn't make heads, tails of anything, and they decided, with your agreement, to just start fresh. Okay, so they're thinking in their thoughts that from that point, this is all their right.
I see. So, like, back to the Jaguar example, you get to a point where you're putting the interior in and the plans say that it all needs to be cloth, and you're looking at it going, no, this all needs to be leather. We need to start at scratch. We need to start with a completely fresh headliner made of leather. We need to make all of the bolsters leather. We need to make the door linings leather. We need to make all of it leather. We need to start from scratch. Therefore, it's our fucking Jag. No, Neil.
Well, the thing is now, Jag. Hold on, dude. Hold on. The thing is, like, Jag at the moment, yes, but when they first started, yes, they had to do the same thing, give up some of their profit. In other words, they had to get partners and people that helped to start off with. It wasn't just that one person. Right?
You're speaking in hypotheticals. You don't even know that. And Nathan started 10 years ago. It's called Flat Earth Debate. That's what the book is about. And here's the thing, what they're going to come back at you with. After chapter 5, it's a whole new book. Do you know what type of glue we use to keep the freaking upholstery on, Nathan?
Sorry, what glue?
Yeah, that's the analogy I'm using. That's what I was going to say. You don't even know what's in that book.
You wrote it, we filled it.
You wrote it, we filled it. Adam's own words. Sorry,
so when they come on the show, Nathan?
Pardon?
That was before chapter 5 or 4.
That was 3 months ago.
Uh-oh, that's a problem.
Yeah, so what you're saying is they're telling me one thing and now lying about it and saying it's another. Yeah, I know. This is
so Nathan,
that's a problem. If you got that recording, because they're claiming that at a certain point it's all theirs, and you had very little input. Like, you couldn't even tell us what chapter 4 is. Like, you can't even tell them what type of glue they put to keep the upholstery on.
But the supervisor doesn't need to. Like I say, I've got it all recorded. So who gives a flying fuck what they think? They can think.
I wouldn't be able to tell
the work
you
they did under
like
my
3
supervision.
of the plugins.
They can think the work they did under my supervision is theirs. It isn't. They don't have to like it.
In Switzerland, a verbal agreement is binding.
Yes.
That's correct.
And pretty much anywhere, I think it's always binding.
Yeah.
Verbal agreements binding in England too.
Yeah, and Elbow, when you are co-authors, that means you have rights to that book. 100 years down the road, if his children's children wanted to possess that book, they could.
Yeah, they want to turn my 10 years of work and the skeleton that they've built on with all of their work on their book. Why the fuck do they need my permission? This is the thing, right? This whole argument about it's ours, we wrote it, it's like, why are you asking for permission then, exactly? According to you and your mentality, it's yours, you wrote it, okay? Why do you need my permission? Why are you asking?
I mean, is that exactly what they say? Or it's like they want to be part of it, not just be a part of it, like as just a writer and just.
Oh, what you're saying is, I see. So you're saying if it was an Adam Meakin, it wouldn't sell. You need the Jaguar logo on it.
No, 100%. It's like Microsoft.
That's why I've told them to
has...
suck my fucking balls, the parasites. Yeah, they need my fucking name on it, don't they?
Yeah, after 95% of the book was done, Elbow, then they came and demanded co-authorship. That's just not feasible, my friend. Anywhere, anybody, anywhere, in any sort of business.
Well, I mean, like I said, if it was, like I said, Jaguar already established business, like let's say, like Microsoft when it first started, it had there were people that helped build the software.
No. I haven't just started. I've been doing this 11 years.
I wasn't done.
I haven't been doing this for 2 months. I've been doing it 11 years. Longer than both of those two Muppets. Point. In fact, QE wouldn't have a channel if I hadn't set him up with his OBS. What I didn't do is demand his super chats retroactively after I'd set up his channel and built his audience for him. He didn't want to have a channel. What he did want was to take the ballbuster money that I'd made on my channel. And I said no. Like I'm saying no to him getting co-authorship. And then I reasonably negotiated that he could run his own fucking channel like I would have reasonably negotiated he could have wrote in his own fucking book. But that's not what they want. They want the name Jaguar on it. I'm the Jaguar.
And see, that's what I don't understand, Nathan. Maybe Adam, doesn't have a leg to stand on. But QE does have a name. And he can write his own book. It's baffling to me.
Not if he wants to walk away. Much better to just stamp his name on mine and then walk away tomorrow.
You know, Nath, I was meant to ask you, did you ask Brian to mediate?
No.
He just took that upon himself. Can I just ask another question as well? Sure. You know, when he says you've got friends and they're not helping, what is the difference between those friends in QE and Adam, who are clearly not helping?
A good point. It's rhetorical in a way because there's no answer to that, right? But Brian saying you yes men that you're all being called aren't helping me.
So that thing that 10th man wrote out was a yes man? That whole beautifully written note or text to QE, that was a yes man from Refracted? We're not yes men, we're just loyal men, okay? And we're not just standing here, rah, 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 yeah, do this and do that. We know what was said at the beginning. It's all recorded. Everybody agreed that this book you put out now, we can make it so much better. They took the bulk end of it on their own and started shunning everybody else and trying to help, including me. I had a couple of things I wanted to add it in. I was told, shut up, you're stopping progress. I sat in on every one of those sessions editing that book, so nobody could bullshit nobody. I know everything that went down. Even when Nathan went for a curry or when he had a doctor's appointment, you know who was there? Neil Cosentino was there.
As you know, who else was there? OBS.
I don't know who he is.
It's an open broadcasting system like that I'm recording this with.
Yeah, I know, it's all recorded. See, but I remember asking you, and you freaking said to me, nah, it'll be boring. I don't want to record it. And you freaking were recording it anyway. Well, good on you.
I record absolutely everything. When I say no, you wouldn't have asked me in that context. I wouldn't have lied to you. What I mean is it's not all worthy of being broadcast.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because I said it'd make good material to put out there.
Yeah,
but,
right.
See,
no,
but I took it the other way.
No, it's tedious. Yeah, I'm having to listen to it now as my wife transcribed it. It's boring as all fuck. That's what I'm saying. It's snoozeville. Very, very, very boring. So am I going to broadcast that stuff? No. But some of it, I forgot to end the recording on the after show and it just spills into the after show. But is that accidental or absolutely deliberate?
Divine intervention.
No, it's deliberate.
Oh, you did it. Okay, I thought you said
I know
it was,
when I'm
you didn't
stopping
realize.
recording. Do you think I'm not smart enough to know when, I've forgotten to stop recording? No, I know what's going on my own screen. I'm staring at it the entire time.
Yeah, always assume you're recording. That's the one thing you got to take out of that. When people come in and say, Nathan, you recording? Always assume Nathan is recording. He didn't even remember that? Are you serious? Two very smart men, to me, are acting very, very stupidly.
Regardless. Yeah, they're not going to be parasites. Yeah, I'll just flick those leeches away. No thanks. Bye-bye, leeches. But we've got this over you. No, you haven't. Piss off. All you've done is cost me time and money. That's all they've done. Cost me time and money. The very thing they were supposed to be helping me with. The whole point of the book's existence was because I had limited time and limited money. So rather than punting frickin' microphones, I could have been punting the book. And like I said on the after show from 2 months ago, at any point it could have been published and making me money. It was only held back because the two lying fucking cheats said that they'd help me make it better. No, they wanted to create their, quote, swan song and get their name on it at the point that I was the poorest, weakest, and in the most poor health, to extort what they wanted from me. That's what's actually happened.
Well, QE is very silent on those recordings. You hear Adam saying that, the skeleton is FED and we're building on it. But QE is very silent other than a laugh here and there. So who knows? Can't get into their mindset, but you kind of can. You know him better than I know him. And just for the fact that he was demanding super chats and then you just gave him the whole channel, I mean, that says a lot. So.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to round out. With that, another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's extended after show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.